I think we're in business.
Excellent. Here we go.
Dean, good to be back with you. Yeah. And our guest tonight is Father Michael Therese.
My parish
Good to
priest.
be with you, yeah.
Oh, yeah, so this is not quite nepotism, isn't it? That's family. What's the next tier of insider?
Well, we do call him Father.
Spiritual nepotism.
Yeah, spiritual. That too.
So we're going to talk a bit in a moment, Father, about your story.
Great, happy to share.
I was thinking about titling the episode from Buddhist to Catholic priest. Whatever's going to get the clickbait rolling. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see how that all goes. Before we do that, though, we always like to share a whiskey, and so tonight we are going to be sharing the Glenmorangie 12. Now, Dean, you haven't had this before, have you?
Nope.
Okay, so Dean's on a whiskey journey this year.
Yeah, very much.
And Glenmorangie is one of those whiskies that has two purposes. One is you introduce it to people who have never really been whiskey drinkers, and they go, it's not just awful Jack Daniels that you have to drown in Coke to hide the awful spirit burn. And B, it's also a great one to introduce bourbon drinkers to, because it's just sort of a nice, slightly sweeter flavour. And so people who are actually proper bourbon drinkers, they tend to like the taste of it and go, Scotch can actually offer me something, you know. And saying that, I'm going to leave that cap on. Now, there's a little story here, which is important with whiskey, the narrative.
This is what I've learned. There's always some sort of backstory.
There's always a story.
This doesn't come out of some factory somewhere.
Yeah, so Glenmorangie is, they had a staple, which was the 10-year-old. I've got the bottle, I think, sitting up, or the box up there. And the Glenmorangie 10 was like, yes, that's the one. Well, I think they must have run low on the stocks, because now the standard is 12 years old, which means it's been in the cask for 12 years. So now Glenmorangie 12 is the standard. So we'll see how good it is. Gentlemen, pass me your glasses, and we'll, in fact, we should. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's nice. Father Michael, we'll do yours first. The first pour.
Sounds great.
Let's have a listen to this. Oh, look at that. That's nice. Actually, I'll give you a little bit more after having said that. There we go.
Thank you much.
Dean, second. And do you remember the rule, Dean?
Don't drink it like it's a normal drink. That's why.
Poor old Dean didn't know the sip it like it's hot coffee rule. Can you pass me my glass? Otherwise, I'm not going to be drinking anything at all. Here we go. And I'll give you that for a second, Dean. This is turning into a bit of a...
It's a cooperation game.
Now I'll give you that. That goes there. That goes on the table. And I've just realised I've forgotten the water dropper. So we've got the water, but no water dropper. So I don't know if you'll need it with this one, but you might just have to do it yourself manually. But gentlemen, Slancha bar. What do they say where you come from, Father?
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, so that's easy, isn't it? Not bad at all.
Very easy.
It is, isn't it? Bit of honey, vanilla, hazelnut almost. Dean's going.
I could see why people make words like smooth.
Yeah.
Compared to some other.
Yeah.
You know, it actually just sort of rolls along.
Well, the first episode we had this. What do we have? We had the Meikle Tour, which means Grand Venture in Gaelic, and it's a peated sherry cask, and it's a bit nicer. But poor old Dean was his first exposure to whiskey, and so it was quite an intense start. And then you took a full mouthful, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I just swallowed it, like you drink, right? And that's awkward on a podcast when you can't talk for the next 3 minutes.
And I didn't realise until the next episode when Dean told us that his eyes were watering and he stayed silent for a few minutes. So it was quite an experience for old Dean.
But yeah, we're getting there. It's it's safe to say we've had no guests with less whiskey experience than me. So
I've had a few whiskeys, but I'm no expert.
Yeah. It's always dangerous to say that. I always have to qualify it when I'm speaking to audiences. No, I'm not an alcoholic. That's not what that means. I genuinely do drink for the taste.
Yeah.
And for the angle on the podcast, it's a nice.
It's
a nice angle, and it really does add a sense of conviviality to the whole thing. you're taking it seriously.
And I'm sure it opens up the tongue.
Yeah.
I'm sure it helps the speaking to flow.
Yep.
Yeah, we wait for about 10 or 15 minutes, then we ask the hard
Yeah.
See
The
what
ones you
happens.
never wanted to answer.
Actually, I'm going through Bible in the Year. I'm up to like day 295 or something today was where I'm at. And it was just coming from Sirach talking about the mellowness of wine and company and
Well,
sort of
there you
thing.
go.
So
Oh, is that right? The
When I
dangers of overspeaking.
well, no, it was more like like drink, moderation, but how it can just encourage people to relax. So
When I was in the novitiate, well, still to this day, you're supposed to do about an hour of Lectio every day. And I remember getting so bored after my first year, because I had gone through pretty much the whole Bible and everything.
Yeah.
I get so bored. And I went up to the big old concordances. I was trying to take themes.
Yeah.
And one of my first themes that was an exciting theme was every time the word wine appears in the Bible.
Oh, wow. So you went and looked it up just to be sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So I went through every single appearance. Yeah.
Was it
spend the first half an hour on something serious and then the second half an hour on something just make sure I kept on going, right?
was the general consensus in Scripture about wine? Was it?
I found it at the time. I remember thinking it was 50-50.
Yeah.
50-50.
Yep.
50 positive, 50 negative.
Yeah.
Always about not getting drunk, of course. Then always wine rejoices the heart. Or taking wine in context like the end of the world. God's wrath is going to smash you like the grapes kind of thing.
The grapes of wrath.
The grapes of grapes.
Literally. The sayings of King Lemuel, wasn't it? Give wine and beer to the poor to ease their sorrows. So I think we're all spiritually poor. So.
Well, we're supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be. That's the aim.
I remember once doing an exercise where I went through the scriptures looking up swear words. When I was in my early teens, I was quite fascinated, and I found some. the Jewish writers were not backward in coming forward at times when they wanted to
be very straight.
Yeah, to really name.
I imagine it gets lost in translation a little with. Some places,
yeah. I took after that. I did money every time money appears in the New Testament.
Yeah,
and then started doing just the normal ones. Then I was back to normal, like love and faith.
What possessed you to look at money?
It's odd. That was my number one reason. That was my number one reason.
You weren't?
Because, I'm studying really serious stuff all the time.
But you weren't a parish priest then?
No, I wasn't a parish priest.
Because I imagine as a parish priest, oh man, I really need to look at this money stuff.
But I went doing a vow of poverty and just thinking about, but I just thought.
I'm never going to see it again.
I thought it would be fun. I thought it would be fun.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
To discover every single time money appears. It's too many times, so I just did New Testament.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what was your takeaway after doing that?
Oh, wow. Well, I was impressed in how much God actually spoke about money itself and how much is a core aspect of who we are and where we're going as human beings. I think that was a really big thing. And I mean, obvious things would be learning to let go, let go of this world. It's part of the sacrifice. I mean, if you're going all the way back to the very beginning, it would be the sacrifice of animals all the way in. But the aspect of money is the ability to surrender all that I have.
Yeah.
And be the low-hanging fruit in comparison with obedience, for example. Be much harder. Obedience is surrendering my will versus exterior things.
Yeah, in some ways it's kind of a bit easier to do that, isn't it? That the total abandonment to God, the easy part probably in a sense is handing over material things. It's the next tier of
I think that's the secret of the Franciscans, right?
Yeah.
That's why they have by far the most saints. And they, before Vatican II, they had by far the most priests, much more than the Jesuits. The Jesuits were one order and they were three.
Yeah.
And I think it is because it's the quick way.
Yeah,
right?
interesting.
It's the quick way.
Yeah.
I think that's starting out with basic and then moving your way up. Anyways, getting serious right away.
No, nothing wrong with that. That's good. That's the way we like it. Now, Father, you've got a little bit of an accent there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Now it's
you could probably turn it on more if you wanted.
Yeah, I could probably. Yeah.
We should
different accents.
Yeah, I'm going to start by asking where's hometown then for you?
Born and raised in San Jose, California.
Yeah. Okay.
Born and raised in San Jose until I was 18. Yeah.
You got a bit of a hybrid, have you? That there's a bit of San Jose and a bit of something. No, is that San Jose? Is
a
it?
bit of a hybrid. So I obviously had a San Jose accent leaving San Jose.
Yeah.
I think my accent changed the most when I was living in France. Lived in France for 6 years and worked hard at not having an outrageous American accent, and really calmed my twang quite a bit. And when I came out, after 6 years, I think I picked up a little bit of an Irish thing too.
Yeah, I can hear that in there.
I can't explain it.
The lilt, the Irish lilt.
Yeah.
Is that like a deliberate affectation sometimes?
Maybe. Subconscious. Subconscious.
I've known people who've...
I'm not consciously doing it.
They'll respect me more as a priest.
They would. Of course they would.
Especially when you're doing the tithe drive once a year.
Yeah.
We need more money for the parish.
We have all the money we need. It's all in your pockets. It's all in your pocket. Yeah.
Oh, man. No. Yeah, so San Jose, you were born and raised there.
Yeah.
What's San Jose like as a place?
So San Jose is Silicon Valley.
Yeah, okay.
It's the heart of the Silicon Valley, really. Santa Clara is a small town, like suburb of San Jose.
Yeah, okay.
And so my father was an insurance agent across the street from the largest IBM plant.
Wow.
In the 70s and 80s.
Plant.
Yeah, 70s and 80s. And so right when IBM was really big.
Is that still going? Or they...
IBM's still going and the plants are still going.
Still there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down the street from Apple, Google, down the street from all the main companies. All of the parents were all working in those companies.
Yeah. So Silicon Valley is a burgeoning thing when you were younger, and now it's practically its own area code and country almost, law unto itself. What was it like though before that became a reality there? So the IBM was a presence, and there would have been others.
Oh yeah, no, all of them, all the main ones. I mean, like you have Apple, definitely was really big. But what it was like, so California is the land of hippies. Yeah. So San Jose is in the area of San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco is the birthplace of hippies.
Yeah.
And so you could really feel like most of our parents were hippies.
Yeah, okay.
Were hippies.
Had been hippies?
Had been hippies.
You mean were hippies or like...
Like either literally hippies, like Hayden Ashbury, the two streets, kind of hippies, hippie hippies, or heavily influenced by the culture.
Yeah.
The church, heavily influenced by hippies.
Jesus movement comes out of the...
Southern California.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not where I'm from.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But so was that but that would have been a dominant presence there at some point, wouldn't it? Or not really?
Jesus movement?
Not as much?
Maybe, but not in my corner.
Wow.
No, I never heard of it.
So it's hardcore hippies then,
Yeah. I never...
The flower children.
I never heard that Jesus was God or any doctrine, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Did you go to a Catholic school?
Went to all-boy private, yeah. And...
Catholic family?
So my mother had her conversion.
Yeah.
So she's Irish Catholic, and we were raised.
It's genetic.
Yeah. We were baptized at birth, and First Holy Communion as usual, Mass once a month, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think my mother always had a sense that she wasn't worthy,
Yeah. Okay.
And Our Lady of Medjugorje brought about the mercy of God. Really,
okay.
The sense of mercy of God.
So she did a pilgrimage at some point, is that?
Yeah, when I was 13. She took me and my sister.
What? So for her, a dad?
Dad, he's from Nebraska, and he was born, I believe, Methodist, and, practice kind of floated because it was the middle of Tilden, Nebraska, which is the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, and it's kind of whatever church is working.
Wow.
And so when... he married my mother and father got married after 3 weeks,
Wow.
in Reno.
In Reno. Was it actually Reno? Casino
with casino.
Oh, that's like a stereotype.
Wow. And then got married in the church a few years later. And my father ended up converting formally, I think, around the time of my birth or before my birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he...
What brought that on? Was that a thing of the times where often people would convert because of a spouse, or was there something in him? You think maybe I'm having a son, I need to do something, or
I think it was responsibility towards family. I think it was he met some good priests. I think he went on a Cursillo retreat, which is a beautiful retreat on the Kerygma.
Yeah,
and I think that flipped helped him at least to the willingness. You know how you say the seed is planted when you're little and then many people water?
Yeah.
I think there were many steps of watering. And I think it took my mother's conversion that really brought him around.
Wow. Okay.
I think because it's Our Lady of Medjugorje, she started praying the 3 rosaries a day, daily mass, weekly adoration, fasting on bread and water, Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
And took my dad along with her.
So she went all in.
All in.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like, whoop.
What was that
One
like as a
extreme to the
boy?
other.
Because you would have seen quite a
Whiplash.
radical transformation then.
I was 13, and I was the last of 4.
Okay.
I was the last of 4, and no one else was in the home. So it meant prison. That's what it meant to me.
Asceticism, here we go.
I was like, whoa, no. No, that was very hard. It was good in a sense because she took me with Medjugorje to Medjugorje, took me with her to Medjugorje, and so I had a real experience of God
Yeah, okay.
when I was there. And so,
Was that your first?
yeah,
Yeah.
and that really had an impact on me. But it didn't come with any kind of doctrinal formation or any kind of understanding that Jesus is God or Mary. It was all very devotional.
Yeah.
Like God is real.
That God is real. That's what I came out the most with.
Yeah.
And that there's something going on in this whole thing.
Do you remember what it was in particular that made you that just tweaked that moment? God is real. Was there something in particular you experienced? Or?
Miracles of Medjugorje were a big part of it. Well, so I think there were key moments. I think the peace that I felt going to Medjugorje. I was before the hotels.
Yeah.
Right? I think there was one hotel in the whole place. And the peace I felt was very impactful.
So it's almost like a pure pilgrimage at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was wonderful. Another big thing was seeing our rosaries turn to gold kind of thing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But you speak about those things and it sounds all fantastic, but in reality, it didn't touch me that much. It was like fascinating, like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Interesting.
But it didn't necessarily link the brain to God is real.
Yeah.
Although if I had done that, I'm sure I would have thought that.
Yeah.
Another one was seeing the sun dance in the sky.
Okay.
Staring at it felt like forever, probably 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Probably 20 minutes. That really had a big impact, but same kind of thing. It was more like a fascinating wonder.
Yeah.
The thing that really impacted me was walking alone down the hill where they had the Stations of the Cross. So overlooking the whole valley and feeling it's as if Mary embraced me. And that was much more interior.
Yeah.
And that I knew at that moment I wanted to be a priest.
So there's a sense then you going on a journey like
Yeah.
her son did, and she's almost encouraging on that same journey in a different way, the way of the cross.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think at the same moment my mother had thought I was lost and was worried about me, and she felt Mary speak to her and say, "He's my son. I have him. He's okay."
You don't mean eternally lost. You mean
Lost
can't see him.
physically. Yeah. Like Scandal. My son's gone and in a foreign country. Lost.
That's still problematic, right?
Yeah.
I'm about my father's business.
I never thought of that, but yeah, a little bit of that.
Wow. And so then you come home.
Came home and came back to California. Had no doctrinal formation, no friends in Catholicism.
Yeah.
And my mother had devotion, which was great because it made me learn the rosary, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But no framework to be able to process this.
But you're in that process though. You're starting to be immersed in the Gospels though regularly, right through the Rosary. These key moments of the Gospel.
Yeah. In that sense, yes. Not the actual reading of Lectio or anything like that.
Yeah, okay.
But the Gospels.
So like 15 moments or 15 sort of
moments,
stories or whatever.
Yeah.
And my mom, so there was this little booklet that we used to have quite a bit that was the scriptural rosary. You remember that?
Yep.
And so my mother memorized it. And,
Wow.
And she would say it before every single Hail Mary.
That's like 150 verses.
Yes.
Yeah,
And knowing which one goes in which order.
Yeah. Because I use it with our kids at night. So we do a
Yeah.
decade of the Rosary, and we do the scriptural one.
Yeah.
And so whatever the mystery is, there's a They all like to take turns reading the different passages, but to memorize them all.
She memorized them all, yeah.
Oh.
You have to remember she did 3 rosaries a day since 1987, 88.
Wow.
You know, she's been consistent with my dad.
That's the kind of person you want at a parish when they have to, someone has to lead the rosary. No doubt about what mysteries.
Yeah.
No uncertainty.
She's spot on.
Yeah, gosh, that's great. Man.
And so coming back, I was very involved in Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
And Boy Scouts in California is great. I mean, Boy Scouts are always great. I love Boy Scouts, but in California, because it's not really related to religion at all, it becomes hippie because everybody's hippie.
Yeah, okay.
And so we're all hanging out in the forest all summer, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
learning how to make hemp sandals and
yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so I worked in Boy Scout camps every summer and was there for 2 months from 14 years old to 18 years old.
Wow.
And that had a big impact. Yep.
What's going on for you during that period? Are you just are you quietly sort of storing all these things up in your heart? What is going on?
Dealing
Are you just
with
sort of forgetting
a lot
about
of
it?
rebellion inside of me.
Yeah.
Dealing with a lot of rebellion. My brothers and sisters went through the same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of rebellion inside of us from different things, you know. But I had to learn through those years how to cope with feeling lost and directionless.
Yeah.
No real strong male example. Nothing to hunt for.
Yeah, interesting.
And so kind of hunting for all the wrong things.
Yeah.
All the wrong things. I knew that I didn't want to head down like drugs or junkie kind of thing. I knew things I wanted to avoid. I never really liked partying very much. So that was a blessing.
Yeah.
It was a blessing, but I needed to learn where to focus my energy. And there was a few things. I mean, getting involved with wrong groups of friends.
Yeah.
And leading down paths that were wrong. There was a moment when I was 16 that I was arrested for shoplifting. Arrested. I mean, it was a misdemeanor.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Kind of thing. It wasn't arrested. But that gave me a huge slap in the face and had to do 50 hours of community service. And it was like I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
Just what you needed, the community service or
the slap.
The slap. Yeah.
The slap.
Yeah.
I needed someone to say, this is wrong, you know, and you need to grow up. You need to grow up.
What? So when you say there's your lack of male guidance, what does that mean exactly for you?
Well, it's easier to look in hindsight. So if you look at what happened to me and how I came out, at that point, I went on a hunt. For doing good for others, for redirecting. So I did like 1,000 hours in a year and a half as a high school kid.
Yeah.
1,000 hours of community service for the poor, handing out bags of food.
You had to do 50, but you scaled,
I did. I kept on going.
Yeah.
I kept on going. Almost probably 4 days a week. I was over there, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved it, but it gave me something to hunt for, a reason.
Okay.
You know, like I didn't have. I mean, I'm using it all symbolically, but I didn't have a dad who would take me out hunting for deer. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have any direction to direct my male energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was wrestling in high school.
Yeah.
So that was great. It was great.
Yeah.
But my senior year, I had gotten sick, so I wasn't able to. And so the finding towards the end of my senior year, philosophy through Camus and what was the other one? Clockwork Orange. It was the first one that really opened me up.
Yeah.
It really opened me up to kind of not want to be a blind following sheep, floating down the river, but all those cliches that, you know, like be the salmon that goes up the river kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
with all the other salmon that are also...
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It kind of made me wake up and try to find the existential meaning of my life.
Yeah.
You know? And so then that led me to Nietzsche in my senior year. Yeah. And it was wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful.
Okay. So you found a home with Nietzsche, did you?
I really did. I found a home. I really loved his thirst to find a new realization of self. A new realization of self. I was 17, so I mean, I wasn't,
Yeah.
it was touching a direction for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't entering into
I've seen that with a lot of young men, even today. There's a sort of a certain reading of Nietzsche that appeals to them.
It's pretty bracing, right? Pretty.
Well,
pretty in your face.
he's a bold, he's
bold,
uncompromising,
yeah.
Yeah.
But did you ever touch Kierkegaard? The guy's going
love
the opposite
Kierkegaard.
direction.
Yeah, I love Kierkegaard.
He's trying to convince us of God, whereas Nietzsche's going the other way.
But I mean, I discovered Kierkegaard after.
Interesting.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know Kierkegaard at that time, and I discovered Kierkegaard because of study of philosophy.
Yeah, okay, that came later.
That came back. Mainly, I studied Kierkegaard a lot after I had finished my studies of philosophy. I went on to study in the U.S.
The two great existentialists,
Yeah,
Kierkegaard and Nietzsche. But
I love Kierkegaard too.
yeah, so that starts your love of philosophy, though.
Yes,
Is it- you
that's why I went
discover
on the direction of it.
it? Yeah, wow.
And because of the experience in Medjugorje,
Yeah.
I also wanted to study religion.
Yeah.
And being hippie, it's every religion is a different road up the same mountain. And so studying Taoism and Buddhism became a great desire
Yeah.
for me. And comparative religion. I really was enthralled by Carl Jung and the archetypes.
Yeah.
And discovering the collective unconscious and the main
Yeah.
archetypes that kind of govern the human thought.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I moved up to Seattle to kind of follow the grunge movement,
Yeah.
and went to I was, 1993?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, mid-nineties.
Seattle scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
early
moved-
days.
I moved up to Seattle to be part of the grunge and studying at a Jesuit university, because I went to
Yeah.
a Jesuit high school. That the first professor of philosophy introduced me to Plato.
Wow.
And it really helped.
Yeah.
And it was already the beginning of taking me out of potential towards actual, or taking me out of all religions are different roads up the same mountain, kind of thinking to that whole thought. The professor said, basic things like Jesus and Buddha probably wouldn't be happy with you saying that, because they actually said things, and you have to take them seriously.
Yeah.
If they say things that contradict each other, then they wouldn't want you to pretend like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
That's a fascinating journey, actually, because starting with Nietzsche, and Nietzsche, obviously, a lot of people know he was, he thought Christianity was morally bankrupt and had corrupted society, but also he didn't like Socrates either. There's a suspicion of reason. He likes Dionysus instead. So you're sort of really going on quite a spectrum there, haven't you? By the time you get into Plato and his forms and his view of reality, it's very different.
That's
So
right.
that was grounding for you, was it, that moment?
That moment, he was with a professor. Actually, you may have heard of him, Father Spitzer.
Oh, yeah. Father Roberts.
Yeah, he was my first professor.
Wow.
Of philosophy.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
I think we're getting to see some names dropped as we go through this.
Yeah.
That's a handy
It was right
moment.
at the time.
Yeah.
And I still actually try to go back and visit with him when I go back home.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a massive impact on me.
Yeah.
He was very patient. He worked with me. He saw how much I love philosophy, and I would work on it so hard.
Yeah.
I remember even because I loved it so much, I remember wanting to read it so badly that I'm like, okay, I'm going to concentrate. I would take my blankets and tie them around my legs to the chair. I'm not going to move until I finish this book. Kind of thing. And I worked so hard for his classes.
Yeah.
And it really opened me up. It changed me. It changed me. After that,
Was it like Philosophy 101 sort of thing, was it?
it was Philosophy 101, yeah. And he did a lot of his normal stuff, which is introduction to logic, introduction to the ways of discovering God, and mixing it in with science, and mixing it with science and physics.
I was just like literally only a few days ago watching. He was on Chris Stefanik's show, which kind of randomly came out and talking about Eucharistic miracles, and the scientific evidence for these Eucharistic miracles. I was probably connected to Carlo Acutis's
probably the
canonization.
canonization,
But
He was always amazing.
Yeah, that was him, Father Spitzer.
That-
you knew him. You know him.
That's what an amazing journey. And it's probably too, like, the reality is particularly from San Jose and the hippie scene.
Yeah.
But not just there, but I think generally philosophy today, there is that. I once heard a very good philosopher say that there's a whole, well, probably a couple hundred years worth now, but there's a whole generation who engage with philosophy, but they don't really engage with some of the best, like Aristotle, and that's almost like they don't exist.
That's right.
They engage with arguments that really aren't as deep.
They skip it, the famous thing of Whitehead, that everything after Plato is a footnote.
Yeah.
And it's true. Aristotle and Plato, I would put them together because there's things, Aristotle seems like everything that he wrote is basically building up off of Plato, except he has a few things different.
Yeah.
A few things different. So it is a bit of a footnote in it too in him, but he has more.
Yeah, that's fascinating, isn't it? Gosh.
And that time period really woke me up. Woke me up. I was very hippie. I guess at that time
you're in
it would
Seattle
be grunge.
now.
I was very
right
grunge.
In the grunge scene.
Yeah,
you're in the heart of the grunge.
Heart of the grunge scene. Not taking baths or showers for weeks. Kind of
so
thing.
Here I am
Being
back here in
grungy,
New Zealand, wishing that I could sing like Eddie Vedder, and you were actually right there.
Actually, hanging out in the Soundgarden, for which they were named Soundgarden. Yeah, that was so fun.
Man.
That was so fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's so classic.
Yeah.
So is that?
I went actually to the Metallica Black concert in Oakland at that time.
Did you?
Yeah, the huge one in the Oakland A's stadium.
I remember when that album came out.
Yeah.
And I remember I had friends in high school who were like, they were angry. They were like, they've cut their hair. They're just imitating this Seattle sound. People were angry. This wasn't pure Metallica. They were sellouts.
Oh yeah.
But it turned out to be very wise on their part.
It didn't.
That was
an excellent album.
So is the grunge music part of this sort of spiritual thing that's going on as well?
Not necessarily the grunge music. I was more beatnik, to be honest. It was very much like the atmosphere and the movement. So the grunge in the sense of the beatnik side of grunge, which for me, beatnik meant coffee shops and philosophy. That side of it.
Yeah.
Coffee shops and philosophy. Hanging out, doing what you're doing in order to enter more within inside of your collective subconscious and understanding more and more of who I am.
Yeah.
And so really that was an exploration, a time of exploration of who I am and where am I going.
You're almost like the philosopher king, just literally, sitting there and, contemplating life as it is in a coffee shop. And
there's a few cliches that are just kind of raining down around us as we go, as we go along. That's just beautiful.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Gosh.
But that was a good time in that sense.
What year was that? Your first year in
93,
university?
94.
Right.
93, 94.
Wow.
And I was very touched by that priest. There was another priest who taught me English. It was the best English class I've ever had.
Literature? Or
literature. Yeah.
What were some of your favorites? Do you remember?
I think it was the very first moment I ever entered into poems. It was I think what he did is he took the plays that were being performed in Seattle at the time.
Yeah.
And had to study them and go with them onto the class. So he didn't do any of the classics.
Wow.
He didn't do any of the classics, but he had us really enter into what was happening at the time. And it opened up it was the very first moment of my life where I contemplated beauty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the best way of saying it. It was on a poem.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember the poem anymore.
Yeah.
Sad. That's sad. But I remember the moment. I remember the moment of the realization. Yeah. And it was like time stopping and everything going still. And just being present to beauty.
Yeah.
And that had a massive impact. Also, laugh, but one of the texts was The New Yorker. And so we had every issue of The New Yorker that came out during our class.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had to work through The New Yorker itself, all the poems and the essays and et cetera, et cetera.
The cartoons.
So
cartoons.
It was trying to it was trying to make me literate, right?
Yeah.
If literacy is not just being able to know the alphabet, but it's the ability to read any text and understand it.
Was there a bit of a rebuilding project going on there? Like now, there's literacy is pretty poor. Was it? And I'm sort of thinking 90s it was starting to fall off a little bit. Was he trying to do a bit of cultural rebuilding with this whole
I
project
really
there?
think so. And he was seeing the importance of leading towards beauty and contemplation.
Yeah.
A very good Jesuit.
Yeah.
That's the classic of the Jesuit. And that that if Jesuits brought about our education system, right?
Yeah.
They're the first to do real public education. And one of the things that was scandalized at the time was they would introduce you to plays and stuff like that. And to the human things. But it was really to lead you to contemplation.
Yeah, because that's where it was the strength, and also when it becomes an excess, sort of through that late 60s, 70s period, where some of the excesses happen on the flip side. It's interesting, isn't it? But you're right. That's a beautiful observation. I remember I'm a bit of a fan of what's his name? Gosh,
Henry de Lubac. Hans von Balthasar.
René Girard.
Oh, my favorites.
Yes, I do. But no, not René Girard. I'm thinking William Friedkin was the director. William Peter Blatty, who wrote The Exorcist. It's actually a trilogy of books that's dealing with the problem of suffering and evil. And that's the whole point. Everyone just remembers this awful horror movie, but the books are quite beautiful. And he dives into, even by the third book, the Brothers Karamazov, that actually ends on that note. But it's really interesting. The Jesuits play a big part in that whole story. And the main character in that first book is a Jesuit priest who's losing his faith, a younger one, and it's these beautiful descriptions of him celebrating the Eucharist, but he's not sure. And then the older, wiser priest who helps him with the exorcism at the end, and sort of but what I love about that was this sort of insight into the Jesuits in America and the college scene in that sort of 1970s. They were a real force, like a popular force.
Yeah,
too,
and they were sort of the leading edge of things coming unraveled a little bit as well.
Yeah, that is true. That's the reality of it. Some were and some were holding on, and it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So you're, I was going to say, do you know the way to San Jose? And the answer is yes. You really do.
You know the way.
Do you go back home, or do you keep going? Is the journey carrying on from there?
So I have, I went home for summer, that summer. I had realized at that point that I needed to have a real awakening. I had left behind a lot of my immature things, and I was, at that point, really kind of very much a product of my time. I wanted to go on a soul quest. Which is for those that don't know, it's a backpack. Put on your backpack and go hitchhiking through all the national parks to go find myself. Lost in a national park somewhere.
Were you close to the desert where you grew up? Is it?
Close to the mountains, close to like Yosemite, if you know.
So that whole peyote going, encounter stuff, that is probably common in that the hippie sort of thing, right?
Very much. Yeah. Not necessarily peyote all the time, but other things.
I'm sure. Modern variations.
Modern variations.
So that's your sort of part. Is that you're sort of touching on something there that's quite seminal in your story, right?
Yes. And it was always, if you look back at it, it was the grace of God was leading me towards a contemplative life. And the grace of God was always leading me through philosophy or it's theology really too, because philosophy in the large sense. Philosophy in the large sense.
Just loving wisdom.
Term. Loving wisdom.
Or like looking for it and trying to find it. Yeah.
Exactly. And living of it existentially and not just doing it for the books.
And there's something out there. That's nice.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Boethius, the consolation of philosophy.
And that was
philosophy.
that was the best, I think, that I got from that culture.
Yeah.
That was the grace coming from that culture. Was a longing for contemplative life.
Wow.
And for beauty.
Yeah.
And
I was actually just literally this afternoon, I was talking to someone about words and beauty and literature, and how there's something about like poetry, I think in particular, but good literature as well, just the structuring of words. Yeah. It is almost mystical when it's done with artistic skill and
I remember first time entering into Steinbeck. Yeah. And Steinbeck is a master of words. I remember Cannery Row. And it like opened up a whole world to me. I never knew I could be so fascinated by a whole page on a crab, on just a crab. It's like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful.
That's amazing, eh?
Yeah.
So you are now, how old are you at this stage?
18 going on 19.
And you're ready to go out and find yourself in the world. Right?
Yep. My mother, I wanted to go to the Grand Canyon and then work my way back. And my mother found a ride for me and it was going with a group of girls to the year after World Youth Day event in Denver.
Yeah.
And I got in the minivan, and she was going to drop me off at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And it was a year after my grandfather died, and it was a time period of real soul search for me. And as we were driving, the girl, she's maybe 5-6 years older than me, put in tape cassettes of a man who had just converted, whose name was Scott Hahn. And it was the first tape cassettes from St. Joseph Communications.
Oh, I remember those.
Protestant minister.
There was about 7 or 8 of them made.
Yeah. Well, she had 6. She had the answering 5 common objections,
Yeah.
the 5 of them.
Yeah.
And then she had his conversion.
Rome Sweet Home. Yeah, that was on.
Rome Sweet Home before the book, right?
Man.
And so I listened to them, and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. I had no idea that we truly believe that Jesus is present in the Eucharist and that it's biblical. I had no idea that we believe that he's truly the Word incarnate. I had the whole reality of the Trinity, the whole reality of what we call the kerygma, that he's come to save us, the cross. I came out of that, wow, I need to change my life. I need to go follow that. That car ride. Yeah. Literally, we arrived at Denver, where that conference was. And I knew I needed to change my life.
Wow.
I knew
what a moment of grace.
That I needed to go and study and learn, because what I'm hearing is not this, you know?
So you had a road to Emmaus.
Very much.
Really, almost literally.
That literally opened up the Bible to me. And I knew that I had to change.
Yeah.
I went over, I found a priest who was a legionary of Christ who had a booth.
Oh, yeah.
And I sat down in front of him, and I felt like, I mean, this is my imagination. This is years ago, so I have no idea how long it was, but it felt like 2 or 3 hours of talking.
Yeah.
In the end, I had still had problems with women priesthood and why we don't ordain women.
Yeah.
But he said to me, you know, do you agree on this? Do you agree on that? Do you agree on this? Well, you agree on almost everything except this. Maybe you could be patient and you'll figure it out.
Wow.
And I was like,
good answer.
It's a wise priest.
Okay.
That's a wise priest.
I literally said, okay.
Yeah.
So now what do I do? I literally said to him, now what do I do? Because I want to study and I don't even know where to go. And he said, can you leave the country? I said, no, I'm not leaving the country. Already going out of California was a big jump for me. And he said, well, if you're going to stay here, probably the best is the booth next to me called Steubenville.
Wow.
And I went over and I found out that Scott Hahn taught there.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was all you needed to hear.
That's all I needed to hear. And then I figured out the price, and I went over the payphone. Really dates, you know. Went over the payphone and called my mom, and my mom started crying and said, I've been praying for this since you were 15, but that you go to Steubenville, but I never told you because you're too stubborn.
Wow.
And then I talked with my dad, and I said, Dad, it's like $5,000 cheaper. He said, great, Mike, no problem.
Good boy.
Good boy, no problem.
That's what every dad wants to hear.
That's right.
We're going to be saving money. Great.
No problem.
That's brilliant.
And then I had to wait a little bit because changing schools at that point, it was too late. So it was like school starting, I think, in the beginning of September, and it was already mid-August. So I couldn't get in. I had to wait till the next semester. And I called my girlfriend at the time and broke up with her. And I knew it wasn't a healthy relationship. And
so something really big is happening.
Said I was going to do a fasting on dating for a year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah.
Katie, my wife, did that, and then she met me at the end of the year.
There you go.
You know.
There you go. Actually,
the fasting rebound me.
I have a similar thing I'll tell you about, which was the opposite, pointing me towards priesthood.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
And I went to a local community college, which is like ARA or something like that. Just to get credits or take some basic classes that you have to take.
Instead of going back up to Seattle.
Instead, because it's too expensive, and if I'm not going to graduate from there, there's no sense in going up there. I just go to a local college and kill some basic classes. So I took like geology, stuff like that, which is wonderful, by the way. It's because of that I still love geology. It was great move. And I took psychology, introduction to psychology, introduction to geology.
Wow.
And during that time period, I did meet a few girls, and I was like fasting. I met one I thought was nice. I said, okay, I'll give her a call. But we talked about bunny rabbits, and then I said no. I was like, I was brutal. She was probably a sweet girl. I was brutal at that time in my life.
Yeah.
And
you're on a mission.
I was on a mission. If you're not hardcore, I'm not into you. Leave me alone.
Tell me your top 5 theological interests,
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think about the Filioque controversy?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it was different in those times, right? Because you don't have everything on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't have everything on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's like, I went out and I bought a Bible. I bought Vatican II. All the documents. I bought a catechism that had just come out right before that.
Yeah.
And
Man.
I sat down and read.
Yep.
That's basically, that was it. And that was so much better.
I remember that time. I mean, we're
in
similar
that
ages.
same period,
so
yeah.
It was a little, like in New Zealand, everything's like a year or two behind. So the year that you discovered Scott Hahn, it was probably 2 years later that where the internet was slightly more accessible that, we get there. They were there, and I had friends who had had bought tapes from St. Joseph Communications, and they were sort of making their way around the Christchurch scene a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Then the CDs arrived.
Yeah, then the CDs arrived.
Yeah.
So this was before, actually, yeah, that's right. This was before you could download MP3s. That was more like 2000-ish. Yeah.
And that was, I think, a grace to have actually been forced to read like Lumen Gentium and all the main documents.
Yeah.
And I remember arguing with a lady in the parish where she was saying, we read this for 20 years. And I was like, I just read it.
Yeah.
I was such a young punk.
Was that the spirit of Vatican II versus the actual documents?
Yes. But I was, I mean, so, we call it a son of thunder.
Yeah.
I was very much a son of thunder.
Zealot.
Yeah, very zealot. It's good.
Well, they're good enough for Jesus. They're in
You took what, psychology, geology, and not diplomacy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Have another whiskey if you want.
Sure, in a little bit. But no, I really was on fire. My parish during that time period, I was seeing all the problems with it. Like we had no statues of Mary, had nothing.
Yeah.
It was like a barn. And
so that really, I remember that period. It's the tail end of the great iconoclasm, isn't it? Really,
yes,
we're the inheritors of this. My parents' generation, they were living through it, but they had also lived through when all the statues were there, the greatness was there, but I'd never known that part of it. I'd just known the empty barn experience.
Yeah. And they had this brilliant, quote unquote, idea of creating community by allowing different rostered parishioners to bake the bread for the host. And that was my first real war that I did interiorly, right? You know? And
because I don't know,
the bread was all unleavened, but it was like that thick, right?
Yeah, and you've come the Eucharistic route,
yes,
and I don't know if you what your experience was like, but back then, certainly, if you were someone who suddenly had a awakening and you'd started reading good sources, it's not like today with the internet. You were like, the knowledge gap was a lot bigger and it was harder to bridge. It wasn't like you just say, well, go and watch this video, read this website. It was quite a big chasm.
Yeah, and if you're trying to persuade someone back then, they had to invest.
Yes.
They had to make some effort. It's not all just.
And so you're there dealing with a fundamental question of liturgical abuse, really.
And this isn't like a small one, like
no.
I don't know, what are some of the small ones we do now?
Father's slightly changing one word on the end of a prayer or something, Yeah.
This is like you have chunks of the host which are falling on the ground that are, it's not like, because the church would say that the moment that it becomes so small that it's not identifiable by the naked eye as bread. So it's like itty bitty dust. Okay, you don't need to worry about it. But you still treat it, if you can, as if it is the body. So you'll have it on, when you're cleaning. But here, it was as big as my pinky nail.
It's just
falling on the ground.
Yeah.
It's falling on the ground. And so I remember as much as I could, I would sneak in after Sunday Mass and pick up all the little pieces off the ground and consume.
There must have been a heartbreaking aspect to that.
Yes.
Sort of thing.
And the priest would say, "We don't do that chromology."
Oh, wow.
And
You'd be like, yes, we can tell. Father.
we can tell. Yeah.
It's rough when the priest doesn't have your back when you're trying to,
Yes.
Yes.
in that sort of situation.
Yes.
And that was about a 6-month period, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little less. And I made it to Steubenville. At Steubenville, I still had some leftovers from my wayward life in me. And it was the first 3 months was purification.
Wow.
I went to a Life in the Spirit seminar.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling the evil one revolting from within me.
Wow.
And I wanted to verbally spew all over everybody.
Yeah.
I kept quiet. That was a grace. But I was revolted during the whole time.
Yeah.
And I came back on Sunday and I was in a very bad way. And
Hey, would you describe this? This sounds like oppression.
very much
demonic
oppression.
Yeah.
Very much.
Okay.
Very much demonic oppression.
Yep.
And I, after being in a very bad way, fell asleep finally. And my roommate, who didn't know me, we had just been in a room for a month together. We had no friends together.
Yeah.
Came in, felt the presence of the evil one, knelt down. He hadn't seen me all weekend, so he had no idea.
Yeah.
And prayed and felt 5 demons leave. And I woke up and I was fine. And I have never had an experience like that again.
Wow.
And it was that moment, I believe, that my vocation began.
Yeah.
I think that was the moment that my vocation started. Within weeks to months after, I was, it was really like getting involved with Mass, staying and praying in adoration, resting my head upon the heart of Christ, and praying as much as I possibly could. I mean, it was charismatic, which was good because I had a lot of emotions I need to learn how to deal with. And it gave me an outlet to cry and to laugh and to be with God. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful time. Studying, taking all the classes I could from Scott Hahn and getting to know him.
Wow.
And Jeff Cavins and all those people.
Yeah, the original gang.
Yeah.
OGs.
Yeah, our Father's Plan boys.
Yeah, he actually. So first class I took from was Old Testament from Scott Hahn, and I remember he said, well, "I'm inviting a friend who's just converting in to give you, I think it was a 2-day or 1-day introduction to the timeline of the Bible."
Story,
And he did it all on paper, and basically the Bible timeline that he has now with Ascension Press, but it was before he had produced it. And we did it in 1 day.
That's Jeff Cavins.
Jeff Cavins.
I've got his Bible actually up there on the shelf. The Navigator one. Is it the new?
The Great Adventure.
cool.
Great Adventure.
Yeah.
And that's the very first thing you open out is the cardboard.
Yeah,
timeline.
it's excellent.
It's really good. But I remember Our Father's Plan. They did it on EWTN back in the late 90s. Those two, and they would have Scott would give some of the theological what's going on.
Yeah.
They had 14 things for the 14 historical books, and then Jeff would say, and here's what. Yeah, Jeff would say, here's what's going on, and Scott would say, here's the sort of theological behind it. It's a great way to do it, and really helped me.
Yeah,
and it was like around this,
same time period.
Yeah.
But they were a real blessing in the life of the church when you think about that. There was,
They've changed the church.
They were in that seminary. They were the old Catholic seminary that became their seminary where they studied. And there was a vocation amongst some of the monks praying for converts. And I think all but one of their classmates is converted. I think, haven't they?
I don't know if it was that. I'm not sure. There was Gordon Conwell, theological seminary. I think that was what it was.
And they'd bought an old
it had been a
rectory or something.
Yeah,
monastery
of some sort.
Back when I was there in 1995, Scott Hahn was saying that over 1,000 Protestant pastors have converted.
Wow.
And
because it was like Marcus Grodi with the Journey Home thing, and there was a real whole ministry of the Coming Home Network. Yeah, that sort of.
Well, James White, the militant anti-Catholic Reformed guy, his sister converted. She's in, remember those books that they produced?
Yeah, Surprised by Truth.
Surprised by Truth, yes.
Patrick
And
Madrid,
her story was in one of those.
Wow.
But it was like I sense something. There's a bit of a renaissance going on right now amongst Catholic apologetics. Like they cut through at a period when there was a lot of bad caricatures of what Catholic theology was, and because they'd really studied and come out from the other side, inside out almost, they understood. And now there's another renaissance. I think it's climbing into almost that Thomistic and Augustinian.
It's next level.
Depth,
it's been interesting.
So I mean, like
watching it for a few years.
I find that the seed was there already for all of that in the time of Hahn. Scott Hahn was the one that sent me towards St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah,
he was the one that always said that is his big gap in his education, and he's had to make up for it. The last class I took with Scott Hahn was the Treatise on the Law.
Really?
Yeah, I took a master's level class with them on the Treatise of the Law.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful class. I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I think they all already knew it back then.
Yeah.
And I feel as if it's just standing on the shoulders of those who have gone before us, like generations of babies produced by that initial movement.
I feel like the I don't know if opposition is the right word, but the it's there was a lot of kind of fundamentalist anti-Catholicism that they were dealing with, so they had to answer those questions. And then
that was the first layer.
And then over the years, the level of discourse has just risen, and it's cool.
It's almost like we're walking back into that some of those original reformer, versus,
I'm sure it's very cyclical.
Versus the church conversations, and now you see Catholic apologetics with the good stuff. Is the stuff that's still a bit behind the times is still responding to those 80s and 90s arguments. That the more, I think, spirit-led and focused stuff is addressing at that higher level.
That's right. I know that Hahn in his classes, at least when I was there in 95 and 96, he was very clear that he was going in the direction of St. Paul Institute already. Very clear in the sense of a renewal of the love of biblical theology in the universal church, and wanting to step away from apologetics and into a proper theology. Already back then in 95, 96, he was already very clear.
I think that is the great need now. And I more and more, I mean, in my ministry work, I see that it's always trying to bring people back to that Christian vision of goodness, truth, and beauty. That's the fundamental. Sure, I can, we can wield swords and duel each other on points, and I can, throw one-liners at you and rah, but there's something missing. There's,
right.
That you have to have apologetics, I think, is almost a negative defense in a sense, or it had become that rather than a.
It's a great gateway, I think.
Yeah,
it's
important, but
it's especially for boys. Teenagers and guys, right? It's a great way into theology, and but it's not where you should stop. And it's funny now we're talking about Scott Hahn in the 1990s, and now like on the table, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. We've got the Ignatius Catholic Study Bible, the kind of culmination of literally decades of that kind of work that you're talking about, like getting back to the Bible, drilling down on the kerygma, and just putting that in front of Catholics. That was kind of the vision.
Which is absolutely fantastic.
And Catholic pastors.
Yeah.
And it's so rich when you do that. It's not, I mean, it is just rich. And I think that's the reality of it. Like my sense is that what I'm seeing is with good Catholic apologetics, and it's across the spectrum, both the more traditional versus those who really almost were the disciples of Hahn and co. I put Trent Horn in that kind of camp. The good Catholic apologists, they're really climbing the rung. I sense like even some of the best of the Protestant apologists are still almost arguing points of law. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I do know what you mean, yeah.
Whereas our guys are trying to draw you into a bigger vision, a fuller picture.
Which
or
is
something.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I think it's bringing about a great renewal.
Yeah.
I think it's a key part to the future of our church. I don't see it anywhere else in the world, although I don't know everywhere. But
do you mean when you say? Did you mean in the English-speaking world? Is that sort of what you got in mind, or in the Catholic?
I think
Catholic world,
I know a little bit
the
French world.
Europe,
I know a little bit the French world. I know a little bit Rome. I think it's one of the bigger gems in the
Well, I think this is where Trent Horn just said this once or twice as well. Where one of the good things about America is like so culturally influential, but there's been such impact on the Catholic, for good in the English-speaking Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah.
Come out of not just Scott Hahn, but a whole lot of people who are in some big web that's all connected there.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my family certainly benefited from it enormously.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
same.
for example, I think of some of the universities in France and in Rome, and I wonder if it's good to study, get a degree, a doctorate in biblical studies, kind of thing. I've seen quite a few priests come out losing their faith, kind of thing, versus this direction certainly wouldn't lead you to lose the faith. If anything, it's profoundly rooted in a contemplative life.
Yeah.
Profoundly rooted in prayer.
Yeah.
And I think it's going closer to what the fathers actually did.
Yeah.
Like a true biblical theology.
That's why I personally think, before we started, we were talking about Cardinal John or Saint John Henry Newman, and doctors of the church and stuff. I believe in time, and maybe I'm just an optimist who loves his work, but I think Pope Benedict will become another doctor of the church. I believe. And what I like about Benedict is I see in him a marriage of that sort of Eastern Western, the fathers married to the Augustinian plus the Thomistic.
Yeah.
It's not too analytical, but it's analytical as it should be.
Yeah.
And it's also, there is that deep sense of mysticism and it's rich and,
That would be a dream.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
And I feel that's what we need in this moment. I really do. I mean, not specifically just his writing, but that approach. And I see that in Hahn. I see that in those guys as well.
They're directly related.
Yeah.
Hahn, Ratzinger at the time, was the, I think, first book I read under Hahn.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, Behold the Pierced One.
Oh, wow.
Was
really?
the first book I was given.
Wow.
So even back then, he was the biggest Ratzinger fan.
Yeah.
So it is interrelated.
Wow.
Too.
Man.
So, yeah.
Now, that you end up in France, though.
There's a step here.
We're missing something. How do you get from I'm never leaving San Jose?
Well, God. That would be the answer. I mean, God. That would be the only reason. I did that year of fasting from dating, right?
Yeah.
And
while you're studying at Stupid.
While it poured over into my first semester, and then through the first summer. That first summer, I decided to study Latin. So I did an intensive Latin. So, and then
was that your first exposure to Latin? Too?
Yes, my first exposure to Latin. I did intensive Latin on top of it, and that was great. At the beginning of the new year, I had been going through a process of discernment. I had read the life of Catherine of Siena. She really made it real for me, the religious life, the ability to consecrate my whole life to God, and to love God with all my heart, and for him to be the spouse of my soul.
Yeah.
After reading the life of Catherine, I knew it's possible. And then the realization that I only have one life, and if that is possible, I should go for it.
Be who God made you to be, and you'll set the world on fire.
That's right.
That's what she said, wasn't it?
And Catherine became one of my faves after that. And I was saying at that time period that I'm moving from 40% sure I want to be a priest to 60%. Sure. I want to be a priest. And then
still keeping that 40.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then still like, okay, I want to get married. Because every time I look at a couple with a baby, I'm like, oh, I want to be married.
Yeah.
Looking over the fence too much, kind of thing.
But that's a beautiful, natural, good desire too at the same time.
Exactly.
And I don't think you can be a faithful priest.
Exactly.
Letting it go.
Yeah, it's like, I hate families.
I'll be a priest.
There's a saying, if you don't want to be married, you shouldn't be a priest.
Yeah.
Because it means that you have problems you have to deal with.
Yeah.
That was my very journey.
Yeah.
So Father Rick Lufton, for those who are watching and know him, he was my spiritual director at the time. And I'd come out of some relationships. I thought women were just too hard and difficult. Yeah, they're too much of a mystery, too much of a... And you know what? Become a priest. You get your own housekeeper. You get Sky TV so you can watch rugby whenever you want to. And he was very astute. He said, Brent, that these are not the right reasons. There was also a part of me... It was around the time of the 2000s abuse crisis, and I was like, I'll show you, there's red-blooded men who want to be priests. And he says, look, these are all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And that was that whole thing of, well, women are too hard. Priesthood's easy. And it's like,
Priesthood's easy.
It's not, but it was the wrong reason. I was running from something rather than, to
running to something, exactly. So that summer, I had some experiences. I went. There was a girl at the university that invited me over to her house. I had a month off, and it was totally platonic. I had no interest, but I went over because I had nowhere to go, right? And she was kind, and she took me over. And during that time period, I really started to think, okay, maybe I should give it a try, the priesthood. And I came back, and there was a pre-theologate program, which is supposed to be like your first 3 years of seminary.
Yep.
And it's called Koinonia, and it's at Steubenville. It's a household at Steubenville.
Yeah.
And
okay. So was this after you'd completed undergraduate?
No,
study,
this is still. So I had been one full semester after that experience with the retreat where I had that revolt, and then discovery of prayer life, and then the following summer. And then I was coming back, and I wanted to join and to see and to give it a try. Yeah. And the whole common sense things like, I mean, how do you know unless you actually date her? So how do I know unless I actually try to be a priest? You know? How do I?
So Koinonia allowed you to live for 3 years in that.
Koinonia, it was, well, so I started that semester, and there was a powerful experience that really kind of flipped me towards priesthood. I had met a few girls, not just that one that I mentioned before. And every time they would talk, they were no longer pretty, kind of thing. As brutal, right? But
as long as you didn't tell them that out loud.
I didn't tell them that. But
I thought you were okay until you started talking.
I'm no longer interested. Basically is how it went.
Yeah.
It's a me problem, not a you problem.
Yeah, it's a me problem, not a you problem. Yeah.
Just for all the girls who are going to watch this.
I was on fire at the time, and I was really too cruel. I mean, but then I finally, after I had joined Koinonia, a week after, I finally met a girl, and we had a wonderful conversation and really hit it off. And I was like, I'm going to ask her out. I'm going to get her phone number. And I was like, oh man, why? I just promised for 1 year with this Koinonia thing. And I went over to a little chapel hidden in a dormitory about 50 meters away and knelt down and prayed and said, God, I really want to get her phone number. I really want to go after this one. If you want me to be a priest, you have to take this away from me. And within 5 minutes, I had no feelings, and I got up and I never thought of her again. And a month later, I realized God was holding me up in his hands, and eventually he'll want me to walk by virtue. But at that moment, I was just saved from my own emotions, saved on my own emotions. Yeah. And I took that as a sign. And by that time, I was about 90% sure.
Wow.
And I knew I wanted to be religious. I knew I wanted a place where they wore the habit. I'd never seen anyone wear the habit in my life until I came to Steubenville.
Yeah. Was that Franciscan Friars of the Renewal? Was it?
No, but the Third Order Franciscans.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Franciscan Friars of the Renewal aren't part of Steubenville.
But they come to like is it Youth 2000 they have there, the big, what's the big thing they do there at Steubenville, the big...
they never did anything.
Oh, didn't they? I thought they come in for the big weekend conference.
Father Benedict Rochelle was on the board.
Yeah, he was great. He was a legend.
I'm sure that they come in the summer for the conferences, things like that.
Yeah.
They might come for the conferences, or they might be involved in the Steubenville conference as such.
Yeah.
But at the school, they probably came for the vocations day.
Yeah, and that'd be it. Okay.
You know, that was.
But Father Benedict Rochelle, another champion.
Yeah. He was great.
Gosh.
But, I mean, not that he was hanging out at the school. He was just on the board.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't see him much.
Speaking of tape series, his tape series on the cross is in the church. Like it was a massive plastic volume of about 8
That was
tapes
how it was done in those days, though.
That really impacted me in quite a powerful way.
Wow.
You know?
He would come for the big events, often keynote. And then it was during that time period where, religious, habit, adoration every day, prayer life in common, all that became very clear to me. And priesthood, I was open to it.
Yeah.
I was open to it.
But you're living a monastic rhythm, or more of a monastic rhythm that's starting to find you in a sense.
Yeah. And I met the community of St. John at that time. We had just founded a house in Peoria, Illinois. And that was a beautiful moment. Community of St. John was the desire to discover wisdom that leads me to contemplation, to stand with Jesus at the foot of the cross, next to Mary, which is the only real way to remain faithful, is the contemplative life in the Bible. Is how John didn't betray. Was the contemplative life. And I knew I wanted to not do apologetics, but wanted to study for the existential realization of self. Or
but that's a bit like full circle from where you first started, right?
Yes. And I knew that was a response to our modern problem. I knew that was the response to our modern problem. That was a response to California.
You find yourself by looking out of yourself and at Christ.
Yes. Yes. And you find stillness. And you find stillness. You find peace. And I knew that was what the church needs the most. And so I was sold right away.
What did they come to?
For example, one of the things in our rule of life was to respond to the modern atheistic ideologies. For example. And through the search for wisdom.
Like it's an actual written down
in Aristotle and Aquinas.
I was going to say, and at a very deep level.
And in Aristotle and Aquinas. So that was incredible for me.
Wow.
And
got a little bit of philosophy that's going to...
I had already entered into Thomas Aquinas quite a bit at Steubenville. So I'd read pretty much the Summa when I was at Steubenville. And it was wonderful. And I knew I wanted Thomistic. I wanted Aristotelian. Read the Nicomachean Ethics. And I was like ferocious at that time, eating food of literature at that time in my life. It's like I was making up for all my all my follies.
How did you connect with the community of St. John? Was it like a vocational thing at Steubenville?
A friend of mine said, "There's a really great community for you, not for me, but for you in my hometown."
Oh, right. Someone from Peoria.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a guy who was discerning in koinonia. Who said that one might really fit you. And so I went out and I had taken a class on the ressourcement and studied Neo-Thomism also. So I had studied Neo-Thomism, so I was very familiar with all the main names. And to know that our founder at the time, who we discovered has come out with scandals and all that, which is horrible. It's horrible. But he... was from the same milieu as Jacques Maritain, Risa, and Garrigou Lagrange was a family friend, those kind of things. His uncle introduced Garrigou Lagrange to St. Thomas Aquinas. Kind of thing. Okay. So it was like all in the family.
Are you even really Thomistic?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it was like, but that was a reason to go study. And he really emphasized that if you want to, an easy way to explain it that the brothers often use is, if you want to discover what is philosophy, you can't go to Thomas Aquinas, because Thomas Aquinas is like trying to understand what is a potato when you're looking at mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah, I get that.
He's a theologian, and he's using philosophy to go deeper in his theology. So it's already chewed and regurgitated, but you don't have the genetic process of the discovery of philosophy.
No.
In St. Thomas Aquinas. It wasn't on his agenda. He could have written that. It just wasn't part of his program. And so if you want to rediscover, you have to go back to the source. And to go back to the source, you go to Aristotle. And if you're going to Aristotle, you have to know Plato. And he was spot on. I firmly agree with that. And so I went to go study, and there I joined the brothers. I started in Laredo, Texas for postulancy, and then moved to France in 97. Graduated in December 96 from Steubenville. Graduated in December 96 because I studied like a maniac. My last semester... If you know how U.S. school or university works, it works in credits. So the legal maximum amount of credits you can take is 18. And I did 21. And I took one of them was a master's class. That master's class I was mentioning of Introduction to the Treatise on the Law of St. Thomas Aquinas with Scott Hahn. And I was like, I got to take it. And wrote 200 pages in my last semester. of papers, something like that.
So you were really ready for that next stage.
I was hungry.
There's I love that. I love the sources, that what you're just saying about the sources, because one of the things that recurs in Benedict's writings is he sees divine providence in the timing of Greek philosophy reaching its pinnacle just a couple of hundred years before Christ, because then obviously the church is able to take that and elevate it into its fullness in the fullest expression. He sees that as being God's design. It's not an accident, you know.
Very much.
So you're really experiencing that kind of journey in a way.
That was, so Steubenville felt like I had come out knowing the catechism. And I don't mean that pejoratively.
No,
it sounds pejorative. But
It
I
formed you.
I doubt that many people do know the catechism.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No.
I mean, it's like I knew what was heresy. I knew what was not. I knew the direction of the church. I knew Vatican II. I knew the Bible. Enough to begin.
So it taught you to think like a Catholic? Is
Yes.
that one way to say it? Because
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
there's, we all know examples of people who just don't think like Catholics, you know?
It was me.
Yeah. I mean, it's all of us at some point, right?
Yeah.
But there's I don't know, there's a sense you sometimes have of here's a people or a movement that is trying and knowing what they're doing, thinking with the church.
Yeah.
You know? And you can go a long way with that.
Yeah.
I remember arguing
Yeah,
with all
safe.
my classmates so many hours. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
So you how do you end up in France? Is that
So that was our mother house. So at that time, all the formation took place in France, in French.
That
and
would be a hurdle far out.
I landed.
At least you had some Latin.
That's some Latin, yeah. So I studied, well, I was in Texas for a few months before, so I studied a little bit there.
Yeah.
And when I discovered the community actually in Steubenville, I decided to not go for a triple major in classics, theology, and philosophy. So I dropped classics. And I took an extra class on French.
Yeah,
Just one semester on French. And graduated quick.
How long were you in France?
6 years. Well, 3 years and then 3 years. So I did 3 years France for philosophy, novitiate philosophy, and then 2 years in India for my internship.
Yeah, okay.
And then 3 years in...
Tell me about France. I'm interested in this because one of the things I'm keenly aware of is that the Enlightenment, the worst excesses of that anti-Catholic hostility and the reign of terror that sprang up on the great Edmund Burke warned about very prophetically, but it shapes that culture still, and you almost feel like there's a sense of there's this Catholic France buried in there, but there's also this rebellious.
I always felt like
Rossberian sort of
the most profoundly, well, at that time in my life, I don't know if I'd say this now, but when I was there, I felt as if the most profoundly and Catholic families and children, everything that I've ever met were French. I wouldn't necessarily say that now.
Yeah, interesting.
But it was such a quality of faith that you could tell it's been generation after generation of profoundly living of their faith. And it blew me away. I was so impressed by the quality of faith and depth of understanding.
Yeah.
That it,
like in the DNA sort of thing.
It's in the DNA.
Where
in the
in
culture.
France? Where in France were you?
Well, in all the milieus that I would have been. So I was in, so the old Catholic is either in regions or it's in the nobility and the army.
Yeah, okay.
The nobility
where
and the
tradition
army.
held.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was, now looking back, now I know that a lot of those families were noble descent or like, for example, the children of generals or majors in the army, those kind of things.
Was there a geographic, like you went, where's the house?
It's evolved. Oh, so where I was.
Yeah.
So I started out west of Lyon, about an hour drive west of Lyon. That was our novitiate in a place called Saint-Gédard, which is a farm land out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, Lyon is a very important
Catholic
stronghold,
bastion.
wasn't it? Yeah. Well, I can't remember who it was that said that the bread of Catholicism was baked in the ovens of France.
Yeah.
So
Well, the first order of the faith, all that sort of stuff. It's, which is, I mean, from looking at it from afar now, it seems like, man, this is a tragedy if they don't hang on to the faith.
Yeah,
they're just gonna.
Lose
yeah, lose culturally, lose influence,
who they are,
lose their identity. Yeah.
That was beautiful. The 3 years there, though, for me, so I had a couple graces that really helped me through because it was hard. I didn't know any French. I didn't have any real friends because who do you talk with and all that? It's a different culture and things like the French, their normal conversation, if they're doing light conversation, is to go right away into politics.
Yeah.
And so to immediately ask me, what do you think about Clinton? I'm like,
wow,
that's aggressive. So I'll hit you back.
I try not to think about it, actually.
yeah. I mean, in my culture, you never talk about that. I mean, if you do, it's fighting words. Words.
Yeah, you've got to know someone a little bit before you escalate.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
that level.
Exactly.
Gosh.
And so that was hard. I had to learn how to deal with French culture. But what saved me was prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer life. Adoration, hours and hours and hours of adoration, hours and hours of meditating on the word, and study. I had about 5 hours of class of philosophy every day.
Wow.
And wrote papers, did all my... That was beautiful. I read the complete works of Plato, pretty much the complete works of Aristotle during that time. Did a paper on the use of mythos and logos, which is myth and reason in Plato. And Aristotle really worked hard on his metaphysics and Nicomachean ethics, of course.
Yeah.
I think
the staple.
It's for me, it's like the work. If you have not read it, it means that you are not educated.
Yeah.
At least in ethics. At least in ethics.
I'd agree. I absolutely agree.
If you haven't read it, it's so fundamental. It's so fundamental. It's just, even if you disagree with it, it is the work to disagree with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're an agnostic or an atheist, it's against that particular tradition.
It's against that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's foundational. But that was wonderful. Read it and had classes. And what was beautiful too is you would have like an entire year, 2 classes a week on the word good. In metaphysics.
Yeah, beautiful. That's important. That is important.
Something like that. It's like, whoa. So it gave depth. So it's like one word had so much more meaning.
Yeah.
And changed my whole perspective. So I was no longer learning in magazine, all the names anymore. So like all the names of all the Thomas and what each Thomas said. Or what happened in the ressourcement and why de Lubac or why Ronner. I wasn't thinking like that anymore. I was thinking, what does it mean? What is goodness?
Yeah.
And what does so-and-so say about it?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about the reality more than I was thinking about names.
And that's quite key because I think particularly in this moment, in a culture, Western culture that has lost its shared concept of the good.
Yes.
I mean, what a rich treasure chest to have at your disposal.
Yeah. And that made me feel, by the time I got out of those 3 years, I felt like I was no longer defending the faith.
That's an interesting move.
I was no longer defending the faith. It's just what is.
Yeah.
It's just the truth, bro.
It's just what is.
And if you don't want it, okay.
I don't defend that this is a glass kind of thing. It's just a glass.
Yeah.
I don't need to defend it. If you don't see that, that's an issue. That is a glass. And what is truth, what is goodness, what is beauty, are things that are so obvious. What is the contemplative life is obvious, how that forms the human person. And so it moves from being something I have to argue for to something being evident or obvious. And that is a real formation, because when we teach, it should be like John the Baptist. John the Baptist pointed towards Jesus and let them go toward. When you teach, you should be pointing towards the reality, and pointing out the different aspects of the reality, and not pointing towards an opinion about the reality. So and so taught, and so much of philosophy is the history of opinion.
And you're sort of smuggling in relativism at that point.
That's right.
That's right.
That's why
a lot of opinions.
Studying philosophy a little bit is dangerous.
Well, it's almost a get out of jail free card too, isn't it? In a sense where you can go, well, this thinker thought this, and then this thinker thought this, but you never have to commit yourself in a sense to what. Well, what's your? Well, no. He thought that. She thought this. He thought that. You know.
And that is what Aristotle would speak about: is that within side of the world of opinion, there is no real truth, and you have to use a dialectic of opposing them in order to discover what's the best opinion. But you'll end up with just an opinion. Yeah. Just an opinion. After that, you won't actually touch truth through an opinion as such. And so he just would point you back to the discovery of what it means, what is biology, or what is digestion, or what is intelligence. How does my intelligence know truth, basic things, which was fantastic.
The indirectedness of all things,
That was incredible for me. And then after that,
in French,
French,
I keep reminding myself you're taking this on in French.
Wow.
I remember at the end, the metaphysics of the human person, and discovering that the human person is the how of our being, is the how of our being. And when I touch we called it the judgment of existence, which is like a neo-Thomist thing. When I'm able to say this is what I'm touching is the personhood. It catapulted me into my time in India, where I worked with the dying of AIDS, kind of thing, picking up people off the streets, and then also working with Sisters of Mother Teresa in Calcutta, but mostly in Pondicherry, which is in the south.
So that's really, and this is what I love, is that sense of, there could be a perception of, the philosopher who's detached and lives in the mind, but in actual fact, it is a total, holistic, lived reality.
That's what made me present to the first man I ever saw gangrene. That was what allowed me to pull out maggots. Was the fact that he is a man and he has dignity, and that allowed me to be able to see that he's more than his foot. It's the first time you ever smelled something like that, or you're ever seeing that. It's so wretched. You're only like 24, 24 at that time. So I was like,
Man, what a privileged formation in a lot of ways. It
was cool.
It's
it was beautiful.
But it also feels like there's more stereotypes. Almost, like now I'm going to the poor streets of
Calcutta,
It
does. It almost.
I don't. In no way mean to trivialize that or make fun of it or anything. But it's almost like
And what happens
if you're writing a novel, you can fit
you can fit right in there. So, and two, on top of it, I had felt my last year. I had felt I really feel called to India.
Because did you had options here, or did they say
you write to your superior? You write to your superior, and he says yes, no, maybe so. He had told me no. There's already somebody else going, and then I got called in on the St. John, 27th of December, and after the Salve Regina, so after we're all going to sleep, and the head of Asia said there was a brother who was supposed to go to India, but he went home to visit his family, stepped out of the airplane and never got back in. And we need someone to go right away.
Oh, wow. I
was like, have you talked with my authorities? I said, yes, I'm gone. So within 1 week, I was out. I was out. Wow. It was wonderful. That was a wild experience because I had to learn my own human limits. I'd learned my own human limits at that time.
What were they?
Yeah,
that I can't run. I can't run physically all day long in the heat and take on all the bacteria without going to the hospital.
So the hard lessons.
Having a fevers of 40, having to get hard injections, and learning. How to be faithful. Even when you're suffering a lot, there was a lot of suffering for me because I was kind of building the community there, so I didn't have much supervision, and I was doing everything and going, So I think now looking back at it, I had some really powerful kind of mystical experiences while I was there. But in general, the love of India was an undergirding thing. I really wanted to go back. And would think that it had a lasting impact on me, a lasting impact on my gut too,
On your biome.
on my biome also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But it really also helped me to move out of the Son of Thunder kind of thing too.
Yeah.
It really helped me to move out of the Son of Thunder.
It gentled your condition,
Yes, quite a bit.
as Shakespeare might say. Yes.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
nice quote.
Yes.
It really helped me to just try to love my neighbor, you know.
And under the most profound circumstances in a place like India, in the slums of abject poverty and abandonment.
Yeah. First time seeing lepers, first time seeing, you know, all those things. We had an AIDS clinic and holding the first 15 people dying. Kind of thing. So it was intense. It was intense, but it was good. It was beautiful. After that, I went back and did my theology for 3 years in France, in another place near Dijon or Chalon-sur-Saône, and in a place called Rimont, which is actually about 20 minutes from Thésée.
Oh, wow.
20 minutes from
I'm
Thésée.
assuming you must have gone there then.
Yeah, we've been.
yeah.
I met Brother
twice.
Roger and all them.
Did you?
Thésée,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were they all Catholic by then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hidden, still hidden Catholic until he died, basically. Not hidden Catholic. It was like a
COVID.
a known secret.
Yeah.
An open secret. Yeah.
An open secret. That's
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Yeah. It's like an open secret. Yeah. And it was a beautiful experience. But studying in Rimont, there were a few professors there at that time, no longer with us, that were genius, brilliant. Like the guy who wrote Jean-Miguel Garrigue, the guy who wrote the fourth part of the Catechism.
Oh, real? On prayer.
Yeah.
Oh.
on prayer. Yeah.
Oh, man, that'd be good to have on your resume if you wrote that.
Was
far
my what do you call it? Like tutor, director in my first year. He walked me through the whole development of the two wills of Christ and St. Thomas Aquinas from the early fathers all the way through Maximus the Confessor.
Wow.
And all that. And,
Because I tell you what,
that was wonderful.
that's a real potential pitfall for heresy right there, right? You get that wrong.
Yes, it is.
You want to take your time.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Really want
Yes,
to
it is. It touches on like iconoclasm, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Gosh.
So that was kind of a fine point. And it was beautiful too, because it was so, like, I had never seen the genealogical development of theology, and that was a beautiful time period.
And you're getting East and West as well, right? There's
Yeah.
sort of,
And
I'm still in awe. The guy who wrote the prayer part of the Catechism was your man.
Jean-Miguel Garrigue.
Yeah.
He left our community right after that. He had been in several communities, and it was part of his process. He went, originally, I think he was a Dominican. He had left the Dominicans in the early 70s, and he's now, after that, he went back to the Dominicans. He went back to the Dominicans. Yeah. So he's now with the Dominicans. And at the same time as a guy named Thomas Joseph White, who was 1 year ahead of me in my class. Yeah. And we studied
pretty famously
a lot of
Dominican
metaphysics.
theology.
He was my godparent, basically, in religious life. Yeah. And so we would study metaphysics together every week.
Yes, that's what I predicted. He's just dropping names like.
Yeah, well, but I mean, if you're going to be studying,
he's a great man.
What a debt we owe to the OPs, you know, like the Dominicans, man.
Our founder was an OP, right?
Yeah,
our founder was an OP, and so it really in the Dominican tradition. It wasn't until after all that I discovered, or we discovered, it wasn't until long after that. I finished theology in 2004. Beautiful. I can go a lot into that, but enough for that. Sent to Laredo, Texas.
Yeah.
The border of Mexico.
The streets of Laredo.
Yeah, you know your stuff.
Oh, I do. I'm a big fan.
Do you know
of
the
Marty
San
Robbins
Jose, now streets of Laredo?
Yeah. I grew up on Marty Robbins and Frankie Lane and others, you know. I could have, it was almost a dream. I knew these places in songs, you know. It's quite amazing.
Man dressed in white linen.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So I went out to Laredo. My first assignment, I was there for 12 years, 2004 to 2016. And that's where finally I'd studied so much that I just wanted to work. You know, I wanted to evangelize. hit the hard realities of you've done all this work and you go and you think everyone's going to love it and no one shows up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Started university ministry in a university that was growing really quick. It was a satellite, Texas A&M International University in Laredo, Texas. And it had about 2,000, 3,000 when I started. And it's now, I don't know, 10, 12,000.
Wow.
Quite an impact you had then.
80% Catholic. I didn't know that. I didn't know. It was just natural growth. The border. And it's 80% Catholic, but there's no ministry. And the U.S. university ministry is a really big deal. It's very, very important. So I invested full time into university ministry, built it up. By the time we were done, had about 15 small groups, 9 retreats a year, 3 trips a year with the kids, and about 150 to 200 in those small groups every week. So it's really good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's a good university ministry.
It's fascinating. You have these places steeped in history. So France, Texas has got a Catholic streak. It's
Especially the border.
Yeah. It's really, it's quite God's taking you on that journey.
During that time period, we also had the diocesan retreat center. So a lot of retreats, and either leading retreats, preaching retreats, or facilitating them, helping others to do it. That was wonderful. I loved it. I learned so many things too, and I am often an active relaxer.
Yeah.
So I had construction going and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. After that, all that was finished, the construction and everything, I knew it was time to leave Laredo, and so I was looking for a place to relax for a year.
Yeah.
And I was sent to Christchurch because there was a man who was the vicar of Asia who was coming here.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be with him. I knew it'd be very peaceful. And there wasn't much to do. So I'd help out a little bit with the university ministry here, which is much more low-key than it was back there. And when I arrived, 3 months after I arrived, that priest was refused his visa.
Oh, so
I became.
Never made it.
Did he get here?
He came here for. His name is Jean Florent, and he came here for about 3 months.
Yeah,
and then he was out, and so I became prior at that time, and then the Father Antoine, who was the parish priest at the time, he had to go, so there wasn't anyone else. So I became parish priest also.
Yeah. He was a character, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still. I mean, he was in the French Legion, wasn't he? The Mountain Legion or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because he would just he
wasn't an officer, but yeah.
No,
he liked climbing mountains.
Yeah, I can't imagine taking giving orders or taking to. But he'd come to Hearts of Flame and he'd disappear in his spare time and go and climb above the snow line. They'd find the nearest mountain and things. It was still in his blood.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Like our family would look at a little bit of EWTN stuff back then, and he was doing how to pray with
Children's Adoration.
Children's Adoration.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So can I ask you a question? Feel free to. You don't have to answer this one at all. The scandal that hit the order. If it's too painful, don't feel free. But what was that like? That must have been a very
so I have enough
challenging
distance
time.
now from that. I mean, so I knew our founder very well.
Yeah.
Who knows him very well? I obviously didn't know him very well. Obviously didn't know him very well. I take that back. But I knew him in the sense I saw him one-on-one every week for 6 years.
Yeah.
I saw him one-on-one alone every week for 6 years. He was my spiritual director. I would hear classes from him probably 2 hours a day. And I listened to all the tape cassettes I could possibly find.
Yeah. So you think you really know this man and then you discover you don't. That must have been a heck of a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, what helped me the most was I was focusing on the reality. The reality was that none of the kids in the university at the time I was working at knew Christ. Yeah. And I don't have time to be sitting here
navel
gazing over the fact that he was whack.
Yeah. You know? As the cool kids would say.
I don't have time for this. And I am privileged in my life to have seen evil from when I was little. And so I did not become a brother naive.
Yeah.
I did not become a brother naive. I entered early. I was 21.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was choosing a hard life.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to see things that would be terrible.
Yeah.
And so when it comes, I can't complain
Wow.
about it. And I do want a fire hose to go to it all.
Yeah.
To it all.
Yeah.
I do want, I do weep over the loss for the church.
Yeah.
The loss of the beauty, the goodness. He had so much that's true, you know, and it's going to have to be reworked.
Yeah.
It's like with people like Thomas Joseph White, a lot of what he has, I've read, and a lot of it's what we were talking about from our founder.
That must be hard. There's a talk about a great unraveling.
Yeah.
Trying to discern, okay, yeah.
So in our case, I mean, you can have a certain understanding. One of the things you have to always realize is evil itself can't be explained.
No.
By definition.
It's the absence. Yeah.
If you can explain it, you have now made it good.
Yeah.
You have now made it good.
Yeah.
Evil as such is something that does not make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so any form of explanation I give, which I can give a lot of historical explanation, psychological explanation, I can explain how there was this like secret knowledge inside, like the true wise one doesn't have to live according to the law, can have a real love and a real friendship that could show itself as long as there's no penetration.
Oh, yeah.
As long as there's no penetration, you could do anything else.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah.
Anything else.
Yeah.
And because you live above the law and you have a true charity.
Yeah.
And I could see how someone could do that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And to what extent should I go too far in understanding that? Well, when I do, I should. But it's like you're trying to understand why an SS guard works the way he does.
Yeah.
So that you don't become the SS guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So you should try to delve a little bit into that kind of thinking. So
looking for the moral warning signs that,
yes.
you know.
And seeing it in yourself. Because all of us have those cracks. Anyone could become the SS guard. Anyone could become the whack person given the circumstance. But if we don't build up the armor now, if we don't already come in not being naive, seeing that evil within us and around others and fighting it actively day in and day out in spiritual warfare, you will probably lose. And so when it hit slowly, and it hit quick, but it
did
hit
you
slowly
accept it
for
at
me.
first, or was it hard to?
So what I did, I tried to think about the wisest way to do it. And I said, if it is true, it'll become more obvious.
Well, that's another grace there, right there.
If it is true, it'll become more obvious with time. And I shouldn't react. I shouldn't react positive or negative. And I should just stay.
So let sunlight
come in.
Yeah.
Let it reveal. I was often neutral. There was a split of 10 brothers in Saltillo at that time that were splitting off from our community for multiple reasons, not just our founder, but they were also with our founder holding that he was innocent. There were multiple things, but I remember I was still very close with them because they were only 2 hours away.
Wow.
And I was close with them until I came here. And I'm still like, if I went home or to Saltillo, I would go by and visit them. I would go by and visit them. I love them dearly, especially the ones I was closest to. And, but I disagree with them, and I think they were imprudent. And I think that they need to have more clarity to distance themselves from that, kind of like the fire hose. You have to take the fire hose to the evil, and call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not, I don't think they're still ready for that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because a community that's often holds to a certain kind of idealism can be very attractive.
Yeah.
And so that it's still very seductive what they're giving, which is our original seduction. You know,
it's amazing. I see you like you talk about not going in naive.
Yeah,
and it's almost like you're walking this line between the excesses of the Rousseauian natural state of goodness, so you know that's not legit, and then there's that sort of the Leviathan, all is a struggle of all against all, and you're not going there either. You're walking this beautiful sort of Catholic line of, the human person created good in God's image, but with a fallen nature and a proclivity for sin, and so there will be evil in the world, and even people sometimes the closest to you will let you down. You know, but that's a powerful grace to have at a young age, I think, going into
and
a religious vocation.
Really helped. That's really helped a lot. And to this day, it's what makes me love the church, want to work with the church in all of her vulnerability, all of the terrible things, because I've seen a lot of terrible things, very wrong things, but I love the church very dearly because she gives me our Lord.
Yeah.
And if I can't accept that darkness, then I will not be able to love the church. It's strange. I will not be able to love the church. I'll run away. I'll run away. I'll love either something I think is a church, but not the church.
Yeah, so I was just thinking that, like some abstract thing that's not the church in its reality.
Your idealized fantasy.
I'll want to go. Often we find people wanting to go into the ivory tower of too traditional.
Yeah.
And they're not seeing that there's scandal in the traditional too.
Yeah.
Evil's everywhere.
Yeah.
Evil's everywhere. The only way out is contemplative life.
Yeah.
The only way out is sanctity.
Well, we all hear that passage about, the wheat and the darnel growing up together, but do we really take on board what that actually means? And that's what you're talking about here, is really imbibing that and living it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we all want our team to be the good guys and 100% the good guys.
Yep.
And, without sometimes looking internally.
Oh, is your team not mine?
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing, right? Looking internally, am I 100% the good guy? Well,
no.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the world today?
I am.
Yours
Yeah.
sincerely, G.K. Chesterton.
Chesterton.
What's wrong with the church today? I am.
Yeah.
Gosh, but what a grace. And so that journey, I guess, is ongoing, really. It's because there's another stage to come, like you say, right? And,
well, so like, for example, I was just thinking about this yesterday. The texts, all the beautiful texts that our founder had written that I can give to somebody who's discerning or just for clarity on who we are and where we're going, can't use them anymore. And so now we need a Bonaventure. We need a Bonaventure to come back and sift through the heresies of the early Franciscans and rewrite the life of Francis. In our case, not rewrite the life of our, but there are, like, for example, the importance of wisdom, metaphysics, John. What does it mean to be fighting the modern atheistic ideologies? And how we take it from an existential point of view and not from an intellectual point of view.
I mean, so this is all stuff that your founder dealt with, but now the ideas are inextricably entwined with the scandal, and so it's got to come from somewhere else.
It's got to come from somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's got to be rewritten now. And so we desperately need to have that Bonaventure. And a lot of times, because we're quote unquote synodal, and actually in my community, it's not a big synodal thing, but it is a good synodal thing. Like, we try to talk with each other. That's what you mean.
So you mean
listen
community,
to each other and be community. That's our understanding of synodal. But I mean,
it gets too meta. The synod on synod was just it's just got
what's the buzzword for community?
Yeah, that's right.
Can we call it community? No.
Let's call it synodal. So because of that aspect, because we're very fraternal and no brother wants to step above or say that he'll do it, I don't think a community can write those documents. I think it has to be an individual.
Right.
So what does that do you, in a sense? And I know you're a very wise man, so you're not going to ever nail your colours to the mast in this regard. But do you have a sense of what that could look like? Is that literally like an outsider who has a vocation who comes in, or is it the order gets married to someone who's got a school of thought already? What is it?
Or is it some random theologian that's got nothing to do with the community of St. John?
Could be. I mean, Providence has to arrange those things. But I mean, the most obvious one would be one of the brothers would step up.
Yeah.
Most obvious would be that. That would be the simplest. And that's the way it works more often in history.
Yeah.
That's the way it works more often in history.
They've lived the charism, right? So,
and plus, too, there is a healthy pride in our charism.
Yes.
The healthy,
Yeah, otherwise, why would you join that community if you were,
you know? And if you're, I mean, naturally, it should be one of us that writes because it's coming from us.
Yeah.
It naturally be that.
Because the next generation are possibly a bit too disconnected, in a sense, from it.
Yeah, the next generation will be probably too disconnected. They won't even grasp it nearly as much as those that actually were there. And there is something beautiful. Many of those who were off, all of them, pretty much most of them, are no longer in the community, or they're depending on circumstances, right? So there is a massive need of reform, rewriting.
Yeah.
Just kind of seeing who we are in a clear way.
Yeah.
And not being ambiguous about it. Because John is the model of religious life that John Paul II gives.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, that means it's so general that if it's all religious life,
it fits for everything. Yeah.
all religious life is John.
Yeah.
So then what are we? Then how does that, and why is it important today?
Yeah.
And we're very humiliated, probably in the good sense, by all this. So for us to stand up and say that we're John for the church or something like that is like, no.
Yeah, who do you think you are, boys?
Like, no.
Yeah.
But that is the call.
Yeah.
As long as you don't say we are like exclusive John, you know what I mean?
I know you mean, yeah.
We are called to live of John for the church.
And that's that grace too of, I think the wisdom would say to us, that holy wisdom would say, the contemplative again, God takes his time. It's not our project to dominate and say, we will direct this. It's
That's right.
Reveal it and unfold it and allow it to flourish, Lord, and we'll go on that journey with you.
It has to become obvious over time, and the patience to allow it to become obvious. And it's slowly becoming more obvious for some. But
do you think some will come back who maybe,
some are
not those who left the vocation, but those who were who split off? Do you think they might? You don't know.
I mean, that would take like that a lot of water's passed under the bridge.
Yeah. Okay.
So that would take a lot more.
Yeah.
Than those a few that have gone out would come back.
Yeah. Okay.
That's for sure. But there's some fundamental disagreements now on basic principles.
Wow.
On basic principles. So I'm okay with it. And I mean, it was a small fraction of us too. So out of 500, 10 split. 12 maybe, somewhere around there.
Are there parts of the world where the tragedy, the pathos of the scandal is felt more?
France.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay.
France is very hard. It's very hard. It's hard for the brothers to even walk on the street, kind of thing.
Wow.
It's hard for the brothers.
Yeah. Because there was that group, wasn't there, that was all, not long after that, what's his name? Oh, gosh.
Jean Vanier.
Yeah, Vanier. And it was like, it was sort of.
Also Ephraim.
Yeah,
Ephraim,
that's right.
So the founder of the Beatitudes.
Yeah, that's
was a
right.
spiritual directee of our founder.
They were in that house together.
I don't know about that. The spiritual directee of our founder. And so the founder, Jean Vanier of L'Arche, was the spiritual directee of Father Philippe's brother, Thomas Philippe, who they were both very close. He had founded something similar to the Community of St. John in, I believe it was the early 50s, in the early 50s. And it was disbanded because of scandal.
Wow.
So
all France really feels the weight of all of that.
Yes. So it's like the whole renewal, like the Beatitudes and Community of St. John and L'Arche are like the three main ones in France.
Gosh.
So that was a heavy hit. Yeah. That was a heavy hit for France.
Where was the Legionnaires?
They were Mexico.
Yeah.
Right. The Legionaries of Christ were all Mexico. Yeah. Never really too big in France. They were in France, but never, not in the same size. So Mexico, U.S., all Latin America, also places, obviously Spain, obviously. Throughout Europe, they were pretty much everywhere. I was thinking about the Legion quite a bit before entering, before discovering the brothers.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Well, down the road from Laredo.
Yeah, they were the thing.
They were the Pope's new Jesuits in a sense at some point. That's the way some were thinking about them.
Yeah.
And that was a heck of a thing because I mean, Katie and I were involved in Regan and Christie.
Yeah. I remember.
And there's that great question of, well, was there a legitimate charism?
Yeah.
that was I think that was just so. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was
And
awful.
it was very different, but and smaller because our community was smaller, but of the same magnitude.
Yeah.
Of the same magnitude. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, I just had this image of like the devil trying to let the air out of the tires of the new evangelization kind of thing by, by attacking wherever the weakness was.
Also, too, I think
of something that was really good.
with those kind of things, it's really going to be, why do I love the church? Why do I love the church? Because of the Eucharist. I love the church because she gives me Christ. She gives me Christ. I do not love the church because of all the sanctity of everyone always around me.
Oh, yeah. Or, or the charismatic.
For what she does for
edge
me.
of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because of all the show. Because of all the show. And
the Eucharist is the opposite of the show, just sort of thinking about it. Yeah.
It's the silent presence. Yes, it's the silent presence of Christ. And why do I love, like, for example, why do I love what I received? I love the reality. I love the human person. I love giving my life for others. I love loving my neighbor. I love standing up every single day and trying to hold up the church so that the church can become a platform, meaning like my parish, can become a platform for the children of God to play, kind of thing. And trying to weed out from myself and from wherever I can see any of the weeds. But this kind of thing is like, do you pull up the darnel like you were just mentioning? And when it's obvious, it's obvious. When it's obvious, it's obvious. When it's not obvious, it's not obvious.
If it was easy, everyone could do it, right? That's such a true statement in so many, including the spiritual life. You know?
Yes.
Well, I think that's one of the great challenges we face now, in a sense, is that because some of those key movements in the new springtime, they've encountered that scandal, I do see in some younger people, and maybe not so young as well, almost a cynicism that's crept in. Those who have stayed in the church, I mean. So some leave, right? But people stay and they sort of get into that remnant, entrenched, ghettoized mentality. Oh, well, then the whole thing was a failed project. JP2 wasn't that good a pope because look what happened. We need to, recover some ancient source and defend it with, tooth and claw.
There's scandal everywhere, though, eh?
Also, too, I think there's some
in any age. That's sort of what I mean. Not everywhere, but
there's some truth. I mean, I think we need to hold ourselves accountable more. I think that there needs to be a wee bit more of a sense of obedience, a sense of truth, of fraternal correction. And you see it coming from the hippies, everything is love. Where there is no truth. And you want the pendulum to swing back to the middle, and you're afraid of it going so far that there's no admiration or contemplation.
That golden mean, Aristotle's golden mean. Yeah.
But I think we have to, in the church, when we're seeing all kinds of people going trad, I think it's going for a reason. I think it's there's a good point to it.
There's a healthy recovery of something that's been lost, and you've got to avoid the excess.
How do you avoid the excess? By living of it, by living of the golden mean, living of the center, and that's very John Paul II.
Yeah,
that's very John Paul II. He didn't focus as much on the left or the right. He did at times, but he didn't focus as much on the left or the right as he did proclaiming Christ.
Yeah. Well, and when you see him, like he coins the phrase cultural life and cultural death, or certainly popularizes it.
Yep.
And you see, that's, for me, I really discovered his writings in a big way, that deeper sense of looking at culture and seeing the underlying vision of reality. It's not a political construct that you're dealing with then, and it crosses those left-right boundaries.
Yeah.
It is, what is the culture? Are you living the culture of life or the culture of death? And you think, oh, well, I don't go out making war and slaughtering people and committing genocide, so I don't live the culture of death. But in actual fact, JP2 would challenge us, well, what about the small stuff?
Yeah.
What's that culture look like in your life?
That's right. I really would think that that's the response. I think there is a healthy reaction to it all. I think there's a healthy reaction. I appreciate the fact that there's a tendency more towards tradition. I see it in all the people coming in the church. I see it very
Really attracting
clearly.
people, yeah.
It
for
is
sure.
very attractive for most people. And clarity of teaching and direction. I think some of the cliches we banty around are good in a sense, like belong, believe, behave, kind of thing.
I want to talk to you about that because I got a problem with that. I've got a problem with that
there-
cliche.
I think it's a cliche. I agree. I think there needs to be, to some degree, a bit more behave.
Yeah.
But we do have to really actually put an emphasis upon the whole thing of belief
Yeah.
also. Believe also.
Can I share my thoughts? My thoughts are, I think it's a bit of a false dichotomy because I don't think you ever really do operate as three separate spaces. They're always inextricably intertwined. You know?
I hear you, but I think that it's only taken from the perspective of a parish priest who is actively trying to preach charisma over, because he's seeing that his people are now no longer even believing at all.
Sure.
And if you're saying that my number one thing I need to put forward in my parish right now is Jesus Christ. The main way I'm going to do that is by showing immediately Jesus Christ to them, which is the whole belong side.
Sure.
And then preaching him directly.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about now, I have a parish where I have a whole range.
Yeah.
You know,
Got quite the
I don't have just the charisma needing people.
No.
So then now I'm talking about, which is what I'm seeing in my own parish, by the way, a greater need for behave,
Yep.
a greater need for behave, and a greater need for advanced catechetics kind of thing, rather than the initial catechetics
Yeah.
or just the charisma.
Yeah.
There is a greater need for a depth of doctrine. So I like it from the point of view of putting the emphasis upon conversion and welcoming people.
One of my issues is it actually came from the liberal Protestant emergent church movement, Rob Bell and those guys. And it was, I see in their movement not what we're talking about here, which is a journey deeper into discipleship, but it was very much they became negotiable issues. They're non-negotiable sort of, don't talk about the question of sexual issues. Don't talk about
if I
abortion.
go back to my formation, what I was talking about in Saint Gidard and my philosophy, I don't really, from my perspective, a lot of the times, when I heard crap, I didn't hear it as crap. I heard it as, there's a truth in it.
Yeah, sure.
There's a truth in it. And so I didn't even interpret it like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even interpret it like that. I didn't see that one could interpret it falsely at the time. And it's just a whole different perspective. I think hearing that phrase, I hear the truth in it. I hear that very simply, I need to make sure that my people feel like they're received.
Yeah,
And it's a basic fundamental education thing. Like, if you don't like your teacher, you won't learn.
Sure.
yeah. I want to back that up in the sense of like the one-on-one catechesis or sharing. I'm thinking I've got examples in my mind of doing marriage prep with couples. Right, you can say the. I mean, a lot of Catholic teaching is not actually a surprise, but you can say it to their face once you're like a few weeks into building a relationship with them. So I don't know if that counts as belong, but relationship is the vehicle for telling
it's
the truth.
the bridge. I've always said that empathy is the bridge upon which truth is.
And they can take it or leave it, but you can say it with a smile, and it's not.
I think it's also about how
you're so bad.
I think it's also about how you deliver it. I think because I look at the life of Christ and even the church, it just seems to me it's always been. I mean, the whole early church is they put the didache before you and say, right, now, do you actually accept knowing everything you know? It's not like the belonging comes and then we'll tell you what it's all about. It's always intertwined.
That's almost like the way the Gnostics would do it.
Hey,
once you're really in, then we'll tell you the secrets.
I like those guys. What are they on about? Tell me more.
But like, take for example, though, right now with me, I have a parish that we have about 2,700 every Sunday.
Is it the biggest parish in the country?
I don't know.
It could be. It'd be right up there.
Yeah, it'd be up there, competitive.
I'm not saying it is. But
I mean, we'll just put that out there.
There's about 3 of them. They're about the same size.
Yeah.
So there's something that I would love to be able to do if I can rejig the job descriptions. And it is to start to do those one-on-one interviews with every single person that wants to get a preference certificate, every person that wants to do an infant baptism, every person that wants to get married, every person, because it is like a sacred moment when I'm able to do it. I can look you in the eyes and say, do you know, Mom, that God actually loves you too? Not just your kid.
Beautiful.
Not just your kid. And then, are you journeying with God? What have you done for your own soul, Mom?
Yeah.
What are you doing for your... I really actually know that you only meet a priest once or twice in your life. So I don't want you to miss this opportunity.
Beautiful.
What are you doing for your soul?
Yeah.
And that's for me belonging.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
That's for me belonging.
To me, that's Christ and Evangelization 101. That's
Yes.
what that feels.
It's relationship too.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I need to think of the pipeline after that. Like, okay, Mom says yes. What do I do with her? And if I have eight moms in a day, what do I do with the 8 moms in a day? And how do I create the pipelines for that? That, for me, gives me life.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Right.
love that.
Yeah.
I can do that. I could do interviews all day long, every single day, without a doubt. Or
Well, what if you've given them something? You've given them the greatest gift, then I would say, in a sense. They came here thinking, I'm coming to get a baptismal certificate. They've actually been given something more profound than that.
They've been given Christ.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Well, you know,
yes.
meet this guy. He's a really good guy to meet.
Yes, exactly.
Your life is going to be better.
Exactly. And for me, that whole approach of wanting to see how each person can fit with inside the body of Christ and grow, how they can be watered and how they can, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I think those kind of things are life-giving. I would love for everybody to do that. I think if there's a need of reform, I think there's two huge needs of reform in our church. One is metaphysics.
You're already beating me. I was going to ask you this final question was, what do you think are the great needs in the church? I was literally, I've been sitting there all night thinking,
metaphysics, absolutely clear.
Yeah.
It's the gravest problem.
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
Our church, as far as speculative.
Yeah.
As far as speculative problems, learning. As far as our learning.
Yeah.
You mean just not being grounded in what's real? Is that what you mean? Or,
and also not having the tools to be able to respond to what's happening in our world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also not
makes sense to me.
not having the tools to be able to see how the gospel fits into my life.
Yep.
A real metaphysics is one that sees how thought is relative to reality.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that because
Thought is relative to reality.
it's a little bit abstract. Of course we get it. We know exactly what you mean, Father.
So
but like
metaphysics-
for the audience out there,
Metaphysics is
when you say metaphysics.
basically it's a big term, fancy term, and it's not. But it's good to use that because it is specific. It is a specific thing. It basically means the study of this is or reality.
The reality.
What does it mean to be or to exist?
I've on that point, I've started a brand new series, a pilot series. I've started once a month in our parish called Salt and Light: Christianity in the Modern World, and that's the whole point. The first 3 sessions, the first 3 months, they are examining that question of understanding. Well, what is the typical secular anthropology versus what are the key differences in the Christian anthropology?
Great.
Because, and one of the things I started with the other night was, there are so many people today who are wandering around with all of this bias, ideological bias on board. They don't know where it came from, and they don't even realize they've got it. And we're not immune to that as Catholics, as Christians either. We're frogs in that same pot. And so we need to understand, well, what is our vision of reality that we are striving to live for so we can avoid the pitfalls of the other that's not
Amen.
leading in the right direction. Yeah, that's good.
The second thing is leadership.
Yeah, okay.
Leadership. And what I mean by that, we need to have brave leaders that can make clear decisions leading us towards Christ, that have common sense.
You're thinking in the realm of the church specifically?
Running the
parish,
church.
you're thinking
Well, it's going
on
to be
the ground
parish
of
and
the
diocese. Parish and diocese are so if you're talking about a meal, the parish is like the steak. Like a religious community at the retreat center is like the dessert. It's like the dessert. The main amount of your formation in your whole life, the core stuff, is the parish.
Amen.
If the parish isn't right, nothing is right. And how does it get right? Often by the dessert, by the retreat center off on the side. But I've done both all my religious life. I was running a retreat center for a diocese, and now I'm running a parish. And it's like the two extremes of evangelization, where you're working on the depth of the contemplative life or you're working on the ABCs.
Yeah.
But in both cases, it comes down to clear decisions that allow for the body of Christ to thrive.
Yeah.
You know, brave, clear movements forward, right down the middle, the golden mean.
Yeah.
Common sense is not common. And
yeah, but everyone thinks they've got it.
Yes,
right down the middle,
exactly.
including me. Everyone thinks themselves.
Clear leadership and knowing when to act, when not to act, when to be quiet and when to speak. And thinking of the whole and the common good is absolutely essential. Movements like we made in our diocese under Bishop Paul to amalgamate the parishes are brilliant. Brilliant. If I look at my own religious community, a huge awakening is that not all brothers are fit to lead. And so choosing at least 2 good, solid brothers for every single house is really important for us right now. The ability for a diocese to do that.
Yeah.
You will always have the right amount of priests for the right amount of faith.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that many priests, it's because the faith isn't that high.
That's what the Irish say. The people get the priests, or the amount of priests they deserve.
Yeah,
that's where they come from. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so if we don't have that many priests, shrink the parish. Keep 4 priests to a parish or 3 priests to a parish. That way the diocese or the bishop can choose the one that is most fit
Yep.
to be leading the different parishes.
So that really is courage then, because you're talking about, in a sense, at times you're going to have to go back a little bit to take steps forward in future.
Big time. Or like, for example, courage because you have to face all the rage of the people who don't want to be amalgamated. Don't want to be amalgamated. Courage because we have to lay down foundations that allow for breathing in the church as we're going forward. Clear, consistent leadership is vital. It's vital for our church. And both are absolutely necessary. I used to say it was just metaphysics.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How long's it? So when did that change? How long has that been?
12 years.
I was thinking,
15 years.
Okay.
Since you've been in charge of a parish.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Definitely since I've been in charge of a parish. But no, before that, it's become clearer and clearer. Seeing all the splits, seeing all the things. Like when I first entered, our founder was a philosopher and a king.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was already wondering. I mean, I was really close with him, and so I wasn't doubting him.
Can you do both?
Yeah, can you do both? Like Aristotle's point in the Politics is like you're working with the universal, and the politics is the knowledge of particulars.
Yeah.
So it's like a different function of your brain.
Yeah, very much so.
And so to be a good politician does not mean that you're a good metaphysician.
No, pragmatism
or
takes hold. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're good. And actually, they're contrary. They're actually contrary. You can, I guess, we could say someone can hold both. But like take the difference. I mean, John Paul II and Pope Benedict. John Paul II was incredibly brilliant, an incredibly great philosopher, had incredibly great insights, was a prophet in his leadership, above all. Was not the same level of academic as Pope Benedict.
Oh, no.
He was not the same level of academic. He just didn't spend the time. He wasn't in the same circles. It just wasn't his thing. He was a governor first.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the different ways of functioning, I think.
Yeah. You know, one thing I've really come to appreciate, I think, for me in my personal leadership anyway as well, is I really see the wisdom there, and like René Girard, actually, funnily enough, I mentioned it before, but that whole notion of that mimetic competition that arises so easily, and being willing to imitate Christ and become the scapegoat, and just let stuff go and just go, you know what? And maybe it's as you get older, your wisdom starts to grow, but you just, I'll often be in meetings now, I'm like, 10 years ago I would have fought that point, and now I'm like, I don't need to die on that hill. This is the big hill, that must be fought and died on. This one I can let go. And I think leadership flows a little bit smoother that way, I've found, when we're not all trying to fight for our own territorial patch.
Knowing what and when to fight.
Yeah. And that's the contemplative, because you've got to be, the gaze has got to always be on Christ and saying, okay, Christ, what do you want me to?
Amen.
Where do I go and when do I go?
Exactly.
The model of the church is also sheep. you know, for shepherd and sheep, right? And so, I mean, I've often thought it's really good to have a parish priest or lead or a bishop who will lead, and we'll follow. I mean, in the sort of military world, it's like no decision is the worst possible option, right? So it might be a suboptimal decision, but it's you know,
the worst is ambiguity. That's for sure. A leadership vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. The human person does as well.
So some clarity, and you can course correct, but you're moving. It's easier to It's easier to correct if you're moving than to just pivot without any momentum at all.
A diocese I visited, not in this country, a while ago. I was looking at its new vision that it came out with, and I was imagining if I was a parish priest of an important parish in that diocese, how would I fit into that vision? And I didn't like the vision at all. I thought it was very ambiguous, and not ambiguous in a bad sense. It was at least a vision. It was at least a vision. You know? I like it when it has a bit of edge of this is why we're Catholic kind of edge, and not like love your neighbor just.
If you could drop any community group into that vision, then it's not really a Catholic vision.
That's right. So. But nevertheless, I could imagine myself being in that diocese and totally finding my way to jive with it. My way to work with that vision and work with the whole diocese. I think I can pretty easily work with almost anything given to me. I've worked in a diocese where there's no vision, and that's what killed me.
You know, I think one of the great challenges
that's
I think that we do face in the modern church as well is avoiding the what they call the sunk cost fallacy, where you go, well, we've already invested in this project or this. We've been doing this for several decades. We got to keep going. But Christ is not like that.
No.
He'll call you he'll call you over here, there, and everywhere.
It's a lack of poverty.
It's
a lack of poverty.
So
you can't remain attached to your ideas nor your projects.
That's an interesting way.
Nor your projects.
If you're poor, you can't have a sunk cost.
No,
because you got
no. There's no.
You don't own what you've done. It's like the famous thing of Louis Grignon de Montfort when he built the sanctuary and the bishop told him to tear it down, so he tore it down.
I mean, that's obedience. And
I mean, but that's why he's a saint. I mean, it is important. We live in a church, we obey. And we work with the church.
Yes.
You know? And otherwise there is no church.
Yeah. And
otherwise there is no church.
There's some trust that goes with that. Trust that this seems like a dumb idea, but I said I'd obey, so I'm going to obey, and God's got this.
And it's specifically the areas when we say that you don't obey are, of course, faith and morals. But it's specifically when we say that we don't say politics. We specifically say faith and morals to distinguish it from political things. Like, for example, the bishop can say amalgamate, and we amalgamate. That's political. It's political. He can say, I don't know, come up with something that would be scandalous for most people. I don't know. We have some ambiguous.
don't receive every Sunday. Only one out of every six or something.
One out of every six. Yeah. He could say that, and we would go to another diocese.
We'd stay with John at the foot of the cross.
Stay with John at the foot of the cross.
Peter be outside the courtyard doing his thing.
That's right. But I mean, but it is a sense of abandoning myself over to providence and listening and obeying.
Well, it's funny, actually, in the last week or so, I think I've got some friends, our Anglican brethren, are starting to discover, I think, this hard reality right now, right? That your everything was effectively the Sea of Canterbury, and now it's like, it's not anymore. And what does that mean? Where's their obedience? Where's their authority? It
must be very hard.
And as Catholics, we want to avoid that. That's our, one holy Catholic and apostolic is one, it's essential. So... on that note, I think we'll call time, should we?
Great.
Can I just say, Father, it has been absolutely a privilege to have you with us.
With joy.
And I've really enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah.
I think I look at the time, we've got more than 2 hours, 2.5 hours almost in the can there.
I didn't even feel like that.
I know, and that was great, and we could have kept going. So that's the contemplative.
That's right.
So, thank you so much. And, I mean, it feels a bit trite, but, may God continue to bless and grace that vocation, that priestly ministry that you gift to the church.
And the lives that are affected by it. Because there are a lot.
With joy. And I thank you guys for being these bastions and shouting out that Christ is alive for all these years.
Amen.
And you've been faithful.
Amen.
Faithful to our beloved church.
God is good. Well, folks, we'll see you on the next episode. Hopefully we'll have a bishop. Was it moving up the ranks?
Very nice.
We had to postpone him. So.
God bless.
Right, see you later.